Welcome, everybody, to our September 3rd meeting. We will convene it now. If you'll join me for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks for joining us tonight for this budget meeting. Let the record show that Councilperson Hoteling is fishing in Lake George? Lake Placid, nice. Okay. Candace, you want to open the public hearing?
Well, you open the public hearing, I read the notice. So.
Okay, thank you.
Notice of the public hearing, Queens Hamlet Sewer District of the Town of Queens. Notice is hereby given that the Town Board of the Town of Queens, Albany County, New York, will meet in the Town Hall, 18 Russell Ave, in Ravena, New York, 12143, on September 3rd, 2025, at 5 p.m., prevailing time, for the purpose of conducting a public hearing upon a certain map, plan, and report, including an estimate of cost in relation to the proposed increase and improvement of the facilities of the Queens Hamlet Sewer District in said town being reconstructed. Improvements and rehabilitation of pump stations, replacement of approximately 1,500 linear feet of 15-inch sewer lines, and the replacement of existing manholes, including original furnishings, equipment, machinery, apparatus, and incidental improvements and expenses in connection therewith, at the maximum estimated cost of $3,366,000. Said capital project has been determined to be an unlisted action pursuant to the regulations of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, promulgated pursuant to the State Environment Quality Review Act, SEQR, with implementation of which was proposed. It has been determined as such will not result in any significant environmental impact. SEQR compliance materials are available at the office of the town clerk, where they may be inspected during regular office hours. At said public hearing, the town board will hear all persons interested in the subject matter thereof, by order of the town board of the Town of Queens, Albany County, New York.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any resident wish to comment on what Candace had just read? Hearing nothing, we can move to the budget workshop, starting with building department.
Just clarify, we'll keep the public hearing open in case somebody shows up.
Yep. Oh, before you begin, Jason, Justice is not on here. It says town court, but that's should be town clerk. The Justice Department we don't have any question other than the court officer fee. We wanted to raise from the proposed $3,000 to $5,000 because there's some issue of overtime occasionally, depending on the officer that is the officer for the court, whomever they choose. And we should have a discussion about that in the future, just to clarify between the court and the police, just exactly who that would be. I think they use the same similar officer every time, but we want to up that from 3 to 5 just to be covered. And we can have further discussion about it. Okay, Jason.
Good evening, everyone. Building department request. Personal services, $175,980.40. Equipment, $600. And the contractual is $7,525. You have any questions on those 3 lines?
Yeah, Jason, point two, $600, what's that for?
$600 is for a new desk for when we move, because we've had nothing but hand-me-downs, and also a double-sided scanner.
Okay.
And Jason, just the contractual expenses, they're going up like $1,500. That's for the near map. That's
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Okay, you are aware of that.
Yep.
And it looks like, Jason, you're looking for a $4 an hour raise.
Yes, sir.
And that would put your salary at $70,272 per year.
Yes, that includes boot allowance and longevity.
Jason, how long, because I'm newer, how long have you been with the building department?
With the building department, 4 years I've been with the town, I'm going on 9.
Oh, okay.
So just for clarification, that would take you from 2940 to 3340.
Yes, sir.
And Sandy's in here for a $2 an hour raise.
Yes.
And that would be from 2616 to 2816.
Yes, sir.
Riley would be $1 an hour, and that's because she's union? Is Riley union?
Yeah, the union position, yes. So I just based that off of the last contract, because I know their contract is up. So that is her $1 an hour raise, her $600 clothing allowance, plus she gets a buyback for insurance. That's all included in that number.
Why do you get clothing allowance? Are your clothes that you wear?
Part of the union contract for CSEA.
All right, and the contractual expenses all look pretty standard.
It did go up a little bit, because our postage went up,
Yeah.
that, our near map, more fuel for the car.
And Jason, you think, we invested in the near map for multiple departments. You think that would, and yours is one of the ones that we really thought about when we did this. You think that'll significantly help you do your job?
Yes,
Yeah.
between the building department and the assessor's
Assessor,
office.
yes.
Because we were together on this to see, and it really works good for both of our departments.
And I guess the goal behind it is you can see now, localities, areas from the air, essentially from a map, rather than having to drive out there and try to get into
Yes,
places. So it could save in gas and other places in the budget as well.
because what we use now is Albany County GIS,
Okay,
and it does not update as often.
okay.
The near map can give you timelines.
Okay.
Which was a very good tool.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
One of the things that I have been thinking about is, trying to figure out what surrounding towns that are comparable to our size, what they pay their department head for the building department and, the code enforcement part of it. So I think that's something that we should, I don't know if you have any comment, Jason, about that surrounding, just looking for documentation as to the request for $4 an hour. You presented at the last meeting, you did a couple of months. I see that the numbers are up and, I know you're a busy guy.
Yes.
But I also have to be, fiscally responsible, and I would just like to know what our surrounding towns pay their code enforcement or their.
Correct. I mean, you can look that up. There is a base salary for code enforcement.
Right.
But for the past 4 years, because I wanted to state this last year, but it didn't happen, because I have the numbers in my office, the past 4 years and the prior 4 years I was there, everything has doubled. And I have numbers to prove it.
Meaning your revenues?
No, not my revenues. The amount of work that we do.
Oh,
It's issued, building inspections. Stuff for planning board. It is just not your typical subdivisions. No more. It is site plan reviews and appeals and special use permits. And we have a new one for the local law number 9 that was passed.
yeah, I believe you commented on that, the last meeting or the one before.
Yeah.
The amount. Okay. Any further questions for Jason? Okay. Thanks, Jason.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Candace is up.
So Any particular one you'd like to start with, town clerk? Well, for town clerk, my total administrative department would be $109,938. I am requesting a $2,000 raise for myself and a $2 per hour raise for my deputy. For equipment, I did add $200 for FOIL requests. It seems that I've had to more often go to Staples, which is mileage and time, and then I have to pay for the Staples product and bring it back. And I've been just taking out what I usually have in my .2, so I just added an additional $200 for foils. Miscellaneous, you never know when. Actually, I think we're both up for a notary stamp, so that will cover that. Contractual expenses, the utilities and maintenance for the regular admins programs we have is about $2,300. If we go to training sessions, it's $2,000. Easy Pass, I did double it because last year we had to, usually didn't order Easy Pass once. Last year we had to order it twice, and actually this year I just had to order it twice. So it's becoming more popular for people to come get it here, so I need to be able to purchase more. And that's what gets you to $109,938. Questions?
Oh, contractual for Laserfish.
That's under records.
Yeah, that's a different.
That's not under town clerk. I have 4 accounts.
I have no questions on
I have no questions.
On that, no.
Records management, that's where it's really only .4s. That's where my Laserfish iCloud is in, which you've actually already approved. We're just waiting for the lawyers to check over the contracts and give the okay to do it. So I did include it in the budget for next year, even though we will be adding it this year as well. And it should be around 5,000. I did 5,500 because there's always going to be a little bit of a touch up. E-code maintenance is, I just put $1,000 in for regular E-code maintenance, and I put $1,000 in case we do have laws, because every time we pass a law, I need to update the code books online and the paper formats. And it usually costs anywhere from $300 to $500 per law, depending on the size of the law. Questions on that, which equals $7,500. It is a significant increase from last year, but that's because we're trying to move to the Laserfish iCloud.
Totally worth it. How close are we?
We're close. We had a little bit of back and forth in terms of getting, consider their final contract package. They did send us that last week, I think it is. And so I have Michael helping me go through that. We will get there. Our main focus is just to be sure we're comfortable in terms of the security of it, because this actually involves your data, so we want to be sure that the data is secured. We want to be sure that they're protected from some type of a cyber attack. And at the end of the day, if you decided to go with a different vendor, we want to be certain that you have access to that data so that you could transfer it to somebody else and still be able to use it seamlessly. So, I mean, that's really what we're focused on. That's more of an issue for Laserfish than it is for Nearmap, which we're also going through. But they did send us the contract package, and we anticipate having that answer from us.
Okay.
Any other questions on that one? Vital records, for this morning. It's typical for a $500 stipend for the vital records registrar and the deputy, which hasn't been raised in I couldn't tell you how long, so we left it right at the $1,000 for $500 for both of us. And safety paper is $250. Safety paper is a special paper that we print death certificates on. We also need it for when we do have in-home births, which we've had a couple lately. But we do go through quite a lot of it for death certificates. So it hasn't gone up from last year, it's still the same. Any questions on vital records?
None from me.
What, for an in-home birth, do you have to have a birth certificate?
I produce your birth certificate, yeah.
Cool.
Tax collection, 1330. In .2, I have $300 for envelopes. We mail taxes out, we gotta use an envelope. Contractual expenses, Postage has gone up, so we've raised that to $1,000. The Edmunds tax program goes a little every year, so we raised that to $1,800. And ABS is the service that actually prints our tax bills and mails them out, is $1,000. So we have a total of $4,100. Last year it was $3,450. I may look into potentially not using ABS to mail them. That means we would have to hand stuff 3,000 envelopes. But I can control the time of when the tax bills go out better. I'm not really decided on that yet. A little bit to think about, but I might try that as well, which may even lessen this. Any questions on tax collections?
Yes. So for the move, is there going to be an expense? Are they going to have to move the postage and things like that?
Oh, yeah. They're gonna have to move the postage, you're gonna have to move all the computers and everything. All of that's gonna have to be arranged with Edmunds, and you're gonna have to rewire most of that to make sure you're in the right spot, so, oh yeah.
Is that then calculated?
That's not my job, well, I have postage in here, it's not, I didn't calculate moving equipment, that wouldn't be in my budget line.
Any further questions?
Not me, Linda.
No further questions. We can move on to.
Thank you, Candace.
Yeah, thank you.
We can move on to the assessor. I'm sure you all got the email from Marilyn. That Dawn is not coming. Her budget is very straightforward.
Yeah, it looks like the assessor is looking for an increase of about $572. Ms. Hoteling is looking, the clerk is asking for $936 increase.
Which is $1 an hour.
Essentially,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dollar there.
And
Data
there's
collector.
that 400 for the copiers tentative because we'll probably.
She's part-time.
move.
Part-time.
We're working on having, we're actually interviewing people to see how our copy system is going to work at the Newtown offices. So she has 400 in here, but there's a question mark next to that because it's tentative. But everything else is very straightforward.
I'm sorry, we're interviewing people for what?
There's a copier system. We have older copiers. Our supply closet has countless amounts of ink that we don't have copiers for. So we're engaging, well, we're getting quotes from systems that can consolidate that, and we're curious if it would be comfortable for departments that are going to be in the building together to have the copier in a mailroom or one on the desk, just basically going through to see what is the best, what works the best for each office. So we just have a question mark next to that because it's a tentative cost. And this, of course, this went out to reval this year.
I don't have any further questions for the assessor.
No, I don't either.
Totally off topic here, kind of, sort of. Postage, if you are going to be moving some of us over there, but the court is staying here, the police have heavy use of the postage meter. So you may want to consider the cost of 2 postage meters. Because, I mean, they put out mail probably 30 or 40 pieces a day. And then so do we usually. So that's something you may want to consider when you're doing your budgeting.
That was in your,
That budget's not
1330.
even in my budget. Now, I'm not talking about postage itself to cost of mailing. I'm talking about the actual apparatus and machine.
She's
You may
thinking
want to
outside the
invest
box.
into 2 machines, because that way, I mean, what is court gonna do, run to the other office every time they need to mail stuff?
yeah, and didn't Fazio just, what just happened with the postage meter? They had to recalibrate it or?
I think they had to replace parts and recalibrate something, but we do have 1 postage meter here, but
Okay.
I don't think people were gonna wanna come from that office to post their mail here, and nor were they going to wanna come over there to post.
You know how much they are, Candace, by chance? I mean,
They're usually like on a lease program. I know like the Quadient one we have, I wanna say it's about $200 for, under $200 per month.
okay.
Obviously that doesn't include the postage.
Right.
But postage is going up, but I think it would be wise to look at that if you're gonna have two different headquarters.
Sure.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's good.
Any further questions? Chief, you're up.
Okay.
Thank you. And welcome.
Good afternoon. So, do you have questions first, or you want me to just give a preamble?
Give him everything he wants.
Preamble.
Well, our current budget of $839,434 has done a vast improvement for the police department. I think we're operating at a very good level of activity. I think we're doing a lot of details, a lot of enforcement, a lot of community involvement that I'd like to continue for next year. To do so and to get to a level where we can actually have 24/7, no missed dayline coverages, so the town has a police department that actually is 24/7. We're very close right now, but due to manpower problems, we need to take the next step. So my budget proposal for next year, which I think I've sent to you all, reflects the addition of another full-time officer. It also balances out the part-timers we have. I've usually put in more hours for them to be hired than they actually work, so there's kind of a gain there. We also, you approved Officer Veeder for next year, and also to proposal in there to have him at the level of a sergeant supervisor. We do not have one on the ceiling. So also in the budget is a lot of things that are needed to be paid on a contractual basis that we need, such as Exxon body-worn cameras, tasers, which are really equipment that everyone carries now and has to be provided. And we purchased them. We purchased a lot of it with grant money, but the continuation of the ownership, the management of that stuff requires a administrative and tech support. So that includes the Data Master fingerprint machine, which is kind of mandatory for police. You'll find that in the contractual side of things. Also in this, I cut back on some of the vehicle repairs. We did have a lot last year. We're having a bunch this year, but the vehicles being better condition, I don't think we're going to see as big a hit this year as we did last year in vehicle repair. We had some very large ones, and one I think we recouped the loss, right, Regina, from a very large bill for one of our newer cars, so that was helpful. I've also cut back on a few odds and ends that are like community involvement. We'd like to have some set aside for activities and handouts and things like Defensive Festival. We had some material handed out for the police department, for the town, for the village residents. So one of the big asks I have in this budget is, in addition to a new vehicle setup, normally the town has always lump sum purchased the vehicle and then lump sum purchase the setup for it, which is very expensive nowadays. There is an opportunity to lease the vehicle and its setup and spread the cost of that over a 4 or 5 year term, which I think is a smart way to go. It also becomes, after the end of the term that we decide, for $1 the town will own the vehicle. Normally with a lease, there's a residual, and you have to, as we all know, you have to pay a lump sum. But in this case, with the lease set up, it's a capital piece of equipment that becomes owned by the town after 4 or 5 years. An example of that would be a vehicle such as mine that's unmarked without all the lights and sirens and all, well, it has those, but I mean without the cage and markings and all. You're talking about almost $800 a month for 5 years.
But the end of that, and that's about $9,516, $9,600 for the year. But after 5 years, the town would own the car.
Mr. Trine, how many miles, like, do you guys on average put on a car? Like in 5 years, how many miles would that vehicle have on it?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So, for example, the one I'm driving now has 36,000 miles on it, and it's 4 years old.
Okay.
So I think the cars will last a lot longer. We have a patrol car here for the detectives, which is just on its last legs, but has 170,000 miles on it. It's from 2014. So I could see with the leasing being able to take care of and extend the life for like a decade, which I think is a big deal. So there's options in the budget to do that. I think, Supervisor, I think we spoke about that at one time. So we have options, either lump sum buy them and own them, pay the payout, or do the lease.
So we're looking at 2 cars here?
Yeah, one is for a new vehicle, patrol car, marked.
With the $18,000 setup, so 63.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's just like what we have. Normally, the state contract Dodge Durango is a very good value for the money we're spending. The other vehicle is to replace my vehicle, and because detectives, the vehicle I just mentioned, the 014, I'm not going to say it's unsafe. It's just they can't go anywhere than around town because it's not in good shape. So I'd like to take that and auction it off and give them mine and start out with a new lease vehicle, both of which will last the detectives and the chief a long time. So.
And are these similar? They put similar mileage on a detective car? Like how many?
Yeah, so
much
the
do they
mileage
use
on the
it?
detective's car that vehicle is 14. It's 11 years old with 165,000 miles. So detectives drive them more. That car is a holdover from when there was a very large department here. A lot of people were using that car. So the department has shrunk over the years.
And it's undrivable right now?
It's on the road. It'll move. It'll start. But it's just, it's past the point of putting it. It needs work, and I don't think it's worthwhile right now. It needs a catalytic converter and things like that.
And typically, where do detectives drive? When you have cases, they go to?
Well, so we drive to Albany, go to Albany County Jail often. We went to Queens last month and picked up a suspect. We've gone to Vermont and gotten supporting depositions from witnesses. So that vehicle needs to be able to be traveled and used reliably.
Is that common? Is that common? Like once a month, twice a month, that they would go to Vermont or Queens?
I would say 3 or 4 times, 5 times a year, we're going to have a detective have to take a trip somewhere.
Chief, is that the white car?
That's the way.
Yeah, you ought to drive that straight to the dump. That car's junk.
Hey.
Oh.
No, it's really.
Gonna last.
I'm just keeping it here until we get to the next level of the decision on transferring my car, which has a radio in it and light package, to the detectives to use. And then, of course, it's not me looking for a new car. I'm just trying to get the detectives something they need. But again, the question I think might be for how do we want to handle these purchases? And I think I've shared the information with Dan also about leasing availabilities for heavy duty trucks too. So, I mean, you're going to pay. We will pay, but it's different than burdening the town with a large lump sum payment in one fiscal year versus spreading it out over time like most people do when they buy a car. And this one doesn't have residual, which I find is good.
So without a setup, just an idea, if they use a detective car 5 times a year to go long distances that needs to be reliable, is renting an option?
No, I don't think renting. We looked at renting. They don't have lighting in them. There's no radio in them.
Right.
You can use your portable radio, and there's no cages in them. So there's a lot of things why taking a rental car. Sometimes, like in this couple of cases, we put a prisoner into them and drive long distances back. So I'm not sure renting works for that. I mean, I certainly can consider it the next time we have to take a trip.
Interdepartmentally, other police, does that ever happen where you?
No.
Okay.
I let them take my car the last 2 or 3 times. I just gave them my car because I know they'll get back here. But again, again, I know the ask is, significant over last year's budget, but I went back and crunched some numbers and got rid of some things. We wanted to get an ATV trailer for the ATVs, which I scrapped that because we have one. It's not a good trailer, but we can do without that. We also had a 9mm handgun changeover proposed, which is the new standard handgun, but we can go another year. The handguns we have are fine. They're in good order. So that was 26,000 asked, so I backed that out.
Okay, so just looking at the numbers, beater would be almost 40,000 increase added to the budget, and 63 for the car with setup, and then 9.5 for the lease.
The lease would be an expense of about 9516. It might be, it's in that vicinity.
Okay, so over 100,000. More questions for the chief?
Just one, okay. Just tell me, what is beast evidence? Just so I know.
No, the BEAST, it's an acronym for, and I can't repeat it right now, but so all evidence that's handled and managed by the police, we now take any piece of evidence in, and including found property, issue a barcode. It's digitalized. We're able to track, remove, destroy eventually, or return to the owner through the system that manages all evidence. I would say too, also for your information, the addition of Detective Sergeant Cross, who has a lot of experience with evidence. We've gone through our evidence and we've cleaned up an awful lot of evidence that's been pending for many years. So that includes firearms that have been held, surrendered, used in crimes and/or used in death cases. So including so there's a lot of cleanup that's been ongoing. So we're in much better shape now than we were.
Thank you. I'm glad it's an acronym. Thank you.
Yeah. So the BEAST is part of that process.
Thank you. Appreciate
I
it.
do have a follow-up question, Chief. So as we grow the police department for 7,200 residents, are we close? Like, would this be the budget for 2027? Similar to
I do think so, yeah.
zeroing in on it?
Oh, yeah, because we now have, we've, it's not easy to find people. We found some people and they're looking out for us. Our new officer from the academy, he's in field training still, but I mean, he's assimilating into the town. My hope is that the hard part is behind us, in my opinion. They're now starting to, work cases hard and do a lot of enforcement. When you start to write a lot of tickets, make a lot of stops, make a lot of arrests, respond to a lot of accidents, we're getting where we needed to be, in my opinion.
Yeah, I remember in the beginning of 2024, you said we weren't attracting any. There was no officers that wanted to come. I'm really glad that we're
not
where we're at.
having that problem. I mean, all the big departments are having the same problem. So, I think in many ways, if you're a police officer, this is, in my opinion, a better place to be than maybe some other towns, villages, and cities. So for that reason, I think that it's working out.
Chief, a question. We've hired several people throughout the last year and a half. As we're hiring more people, are you seeing a cutback on the overtime you used to pay certain officers? Like, is it sort of leveling out a little bit where you had to use overtime because we didn't have the man or woman power, but now we have more people hired, so now you're going to lower overtime?
So an interesting thing is, Mike, we have a ton of part-timers. Well, part-timers don't earn overtime until they hit 40. So they're not starting at 40 and then additional. So they were doing, 1 or 2 days a week. They would step up to 3, maybe 4 days a week. They're still not hitting overtime.
Okay.
So there is when you hire a full-timer, you have the benefit package. I recognize, but you have to do that to have a core. And the core is, and the rest of the folks who are part-time, and many will remain that way, don't hit that threshold.
So it's almost better to have a lot of part-time because you can fit them in places so you're full-timers aren't getting, it's double-edged swords. Your full-timers aren't getting, all the overtime. You're filling in with the part-timers.
Part-times have a unique set of problems and circumstances, and full-timers do too, so it's a balance between both. And, but what we're doing is we're not seeing a lot of overtime per se because we have the part-timers in that position.
Okay.
And, I'd like to keep that.
Sure. Okay.
Further questions for the chief? Okay, thanks, chief.
Thank you.
Dan, that's you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, board. Good evening, everybody in TV land. Ron, if you're watching, hope you're gonna catch a big one in Lake Placid. Good evening, I'm Danny Baker. I'm the current highway superintendent. I'm also the facilities manager for the 3 town halls. I'm also the parks director, and I'm also the director of the cemeteries, as you guys are all well aware of. For 2025, I have a $1.4 million budget. There's really no significant changes. At the end of this presentation, I have a 2 requests, which are nice to have, and I'll speak to them when we get done. So starting with the A fund now. So you guys have these so we can follow along?
I believe so.
What's that?
It's with DA.
So we're gonna start with A fund.
Okay.
Well, again, like you guys heard me talk before, I'm responsible for 29 line items with money attached to them, okay? The first one, could be cemeteries, A fund 8810.1. All right, that's a little money in there for personal services.
Yeah.
For 2025, there's 4,000. For 2026, we're gonna keep that at 4,000, okay? So it's right across. All right, yeah, just make sure you got it.
You have these ordered exactly backwards.
Yeah, it's at the very end.
I mean, my last page is your first page,
But
but that's fine because we can just.
Well, which one do you have first?
This is the packet that I got. Oh, the first is starts with the A, but that's fine. It starts in the back and goes to the
Yep, no
front.
worries.
That's fine.
Okay, so cemeteries, 8810.1, 4,000, 4,000.
Yeah.
8810.2, cemetery equipment, 1,300, 1,300. Okay, no change. Contractual, 8810.4, 1,000, 1,000. Right, so down at the bottom, 6,300, no change. Right. Questions, comments, concerns?
Did we want to think about putting some money into the budget for the maintenance and upkeep of the headstones?
So that's a good question. However, that's not really a budgeted thing, right? And I'm glad that Rich is here. So you guys did a good job. I wasn't at that meeting with the headstones. So there's money attached to each cemetery for maintenance and perpetual care. All right, I'm not familiar on how that money got there. I'm gonna assume if a family, buys a plot or has a burial and they wanna put money for that area, and you guys can chime in.
Those were
I'm not exactly sure how that money got there.
You don't have a
Prior
choice.
cemeteries.
the prior cemeteries that were, the associations that ran them, that was the money they had. So when they abandoned the cemetery, they turned that money over to the town. So that's why it has to stay separate between each cemetery. And that was technically perpetual care for the most part.
But we as a town should be able to determine whether we want to put additional money.
Absolutely. So the only thing I would add is we've never budgeted money for
Right.
that. No, I know. If we as a town want to, I don't think it's a terrible idea. I would like to hear Rich's opinion on, we had money in Grove. I think there was 30,000 in there, and we had the contractor give us the quote for 7,600, and I think it was money well spent. But again, do we want to budget money for that stuff, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we had started to, actually, Kansas had a different question related to the use of the cemetery monies that we've been looking into. I think you certainly could budget additional funds toward that purpose. That's now, it is a town expenditure, because once it's abandoned by the cemetery associations, the town is obligated as a matter of law to take it over. If you were going to budget money for it, I think I'd be inclined to put it in your traditional budget rather than necessarily contribute it to one of those funds, because I think those funds are essentially trust funds, right? So once it's there, as opposed to money that maybe you budget for fiscal year 2026 and then you decide not to use it and it falls to your bottom line.
Right, and if we as a board decide to do that, I think this is the fund that we should think about. And, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, we should increase it to $7,600 every year. I think we were in a unique position this year where the information presented itself and we had the money available and we're able to do, but I think going forward, we should think about, you know, putting some money towards that.
Yeah, and I think Dan could help us out with that. I mean, again, I don't go into cemeteries very often. I have no need to, but you know, obviously Grove had some, as Mr. Blaisdell said, had some headstones and some things that were in dire need of care that wasn't necessarily our expertise. I'm just not sure, maybe you can help us out, Dan, by seeing what the other two cemeteries look like and if they need the similar care or not.
Yes, they all do.
Okay.
If you guys ever get a moment, take a trip, they all do. I'll just piggyback on Councilman Schmidt. Under contractual, it's 1,000. Maybe we could raise that to 4,000 or 5,000, right? So that money's there. Somebody comes forward and says, hey, we'd like to see some of the stones. We could certainly work out of that. And we could get bids and say, you know, not to exceed 4,000. We keep 1,000 in there. And
Again, I'm not putting anybody on the spot right
no,
now.
me either. So
Want us to think about it as we're preparing.
What do we use the savings accounts for? You said like Grove has $30,000 in it. I'm sure the other ones have money in it.
So again, great question. Candy's been here almost as long as I have. We've never really used them. It's always been a question what the money, we did buy a lawnmower the one time.
Yeah.
Out of that money, but it's really listed maintenance and perpetual care.
Yeah.
No, we've never really done a lot with the money.
You need to do more though, because the mausoleum's falling down, and that's a real, not only an eyesore, but it could be a hazard too, if anybody.
Yeah, that's gonna be another, but that would be just basically us just tearing it down and taking it away, which is, I don't really wanna do because it's beautiful stone, but we have to do something with it, and it's gonna come to that. But again, I don't know if Rich can find out, but over the past administrations, we've always talked about this. What can we do with the money?
Yeah.
Right, Candace?
Yes, it's very touchy as to what you can do with that money.
Right.
And the state has a lot of parameters, so that's why we always need the lawyers to tell us what can we do with the money that people have entrusted these cemeteries with. So I know I was looking at potentially getting an electronic map done of like Grove. So you could actually find plots online and it would be easier to sell.
Sure.
So that's what Rich was researching for me, but definitely to fix the headstones, like I don't see why you couldn't use it for something like that. And I think morally we should. And as far as all we have 4 cemeteries.
Right.
Yeah. All of them are definitely in disrepair. Something like the mausoleum, I would probably try to do grant funding for it rather than tear it down if it's something that could be
I don't think
fixed.
tearing it down is a great idea, Dan, to be
You know,
honest.
but it kind of depends on where it is, but another conversation.
You know,
To me,
yeah.
that would be more of maybe a grant thing.
The only thing is that they don't use them anymore.
Right,
A few years ago, the state changed on burying, so now we bury
right.
year round.
Well, the other thing in the cemetery, a lot of those families are gone. They don't
Yeah.
have any more heirs, and so
Mhm.
who takes care of them? You know, how much money do you want to put into? And I'm not saying not to put money into it. I'm just saying there's a lot of beautiful stones there that are they're knocked right over.
Oh, yeah.
They're turned over. You can't even see the family name. but there are well-known names there that
They're of great historical value to the town.
it is.
Yeah.
It
Um,
really is.
So it'd be nice to be able to read them and know the history of them.
Yes, that definitely would. That's where students can come in, Mike.
Sure.
The research would be invaluable.
Yeah.
Seriously.
You know, and again, so if we start the ball and we do, you know, $3,000 or $4,000 a year, you know, in a matter of 10 years, you know, we will have put forth, you know, $30,000 to $40,000,
Right.
you know, into our cemeteries, and you know, without it being a huge expense right now.
Way better prepared.
But do we put money in, or do we utilize the money that's already in the savings accounts first?
Yeah, I mean,
That would be my answer,
absolutely.
because that money's been there,
Yeah.
like I said, as long as we've been around, that money's been there.
You know, sort of
I
like.
don't know if anybody's ever used it. We're starting to try to use it.
Right, yeah.
And where do you? So you obviously have guys who go in and mow and weed whack, right? I mean, that's in parks, okay? Because I was looking at the equipment, like, there's no way $1,300 is doing all that work.
No, you'll see, you know, we'll get a weed whacker or a chainsaw.
Right.
We'll use up that 1,300 for
Okay.
the year.
Okay.
You know, the parks guys do the mowing.
I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. I would just like to see, you know, to know, again, look at, I'm not sure how much is in each savings account, but look in the savings accounts and use that money first before we, you know, take money out of something else and put it in there for budget. I don't think it's a bad idea of looking into that, Steve, for sure, and slowly doing that, but just to get an idea of what's in all the savings accounts and what are the needs of each individual cemetery.
Is it one cemetery account or separate?
No.
They're
They're
separate.
Separate savings account for each cemetery because each one of them was handed
So
over
if you
separately.
ran out of money for Grove, you couldn't use?
No,
No.
no, they're
No.
totally separate.
But if we put money in the budget,
Yeah.
then
Yeah, that's different.
Something to think about, like right now we charge, if you buy a plot, that's $800. To open that plot for a full burial is another $800. That's $1,600 that comes in. That goes to the town. I don't believe we're putting any of that away, like a percentage to go towards perpetual care.
Yeah.
Or things like this, so I don't know if that's something
Yeah.
we could look into,
We could
or,
almost say set up a separate reserve fund, I suppose, which would be akin to what you currently have in terms of those trust funds.
I wouldn't mind that, like a certain percent goes towards that fund and
Preservation
take care
of-
of
Right.
that cemetery.
Mhm.
I think it's something to think about, for sure.
It would dovetail right into, there's a private property that has an extremely old graveyard on it, and I reached out to them months ago about a grant, and because it's private property, it can be put on the historic register, but if we start to do what we're talking about, we can really reach out to get historic preservation grants because we're actively doing the work before we reach out for a grant, so it puts us in a really good position to have perpetual care for our cemeteries that we have. The three that we know about and the one that I would love to put on historic preservation. Okay,
All right?
that's a great idea.
I think we'll continue to talk and see what Rich comes back with maybe, and then, and again, I would just add that, Mr. Blaisdell is the only one that, since I've been here dealing with, nobody else has ever come forward and asked. They do get tipped over and they get knocked over, we'll go in and we'll set them back up. But nobody's ever done any like restoration or refinishing, if you will. So setting them back up is not usually a big deal, we can handle that.
you know, by law, we technically only have to mow the cemeteries twice a year. Obviously, Dan and his crew do that much more,
Yeah.
thankfully, I don't think, but every time we go to the cemetery, Dan is fixing stones.
All right.
We walk through to plan out a plot, and he's moving stones and calling someone to bring a skid steer over. So he's constantly aware of what is kind of out of tilt and what needs to be fixed, and takes great care in that. So I'm sure if there's any way we could help them out, the community would appreciate it as well.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of good ideas. I think we'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's good conversation to build on.
and just an FYI before we go further, Mr. Horton, when he came in today, actually gave us another name. It's a company in Hoosick Falls. It's Gravestone Matters. So it's just another company that we can call and find out what they would charge.
Right.
So,
I'll take that from you.
that's good.
Refuse and garbage A, 8160.4. This one, was 10,000 last year. I kept it 10,000. We used it, we started to use it for the recycle day. It's really there for the Jarvis Road property, in case there's stuff that needs to be done with that. I do use it on occasion. There's a bunch of tires there I'm trying to get rid of, and there's some garbage and stuff there. There is a building there, but I kept it the same, okay? So, all right. Parks, A 7110.4. All right, and under that, the first one is personal services, that's A 7110.1. And in that is my salary, because I'm the parks director, so there's a $15,000 stipend for myself. And then we build in 3 seasonal guys at $17.50 an hour. Contractually with the union, they can only work half 6 months. Usually I ask for an extension, depending on the year, how the grass grows. This year, I'm asking to raise that from $17.50 to $18 an hour. So you'll see an increase there. No increase for myself. I want to keep that the way it was. Okay. Before any questions on that, before I move on to point 2, equipment. 7110.2 equipment. Again, when I took over, there was a bunch of old lawnmowers. We've been buying a new one every year. So right around 12 or 13,000. I kept that at 13. Right. 7110.4 contractual. That's 25,000. That's what we pay. You know, the utility bills. I pay the cleaning guy for the bathrooms. Anything contractual with the parks.
My sheet has 25 and an arrow and says 30,000.
Yeah, I raised it.
You just raised it that, okay, 25 grand, okay.
So I think, yeah, I made a mistake there, but yeah, that was 30.
So that'd be 30, Dan?
Yeah. Okay. And I think right now, I'm glad Regina's here, because if I look today, I think I'm getting tight on that fund at this point of the year, so correct me if I'm wrong, Regina, I think we're close, right?
So how long have you been buying a new mower every year?
This will be the 3rd year.
Okay. How's that working out?
Great, because, you know, when they break and stuff, you know, again, they're only $17 an hour, so they both pull them on the trailer, they both come back to the garage, we have to fix them, and it just, depending on the situation, it can put us behind, but usually we have the old ones I kept, we use them for backups. But with the new stuff, it helps with the production of the moment.
So how many total? 5?
What's that?
How many mowers total?
Yeah, we have 6 total.
And 3 are newish, and 3 are the backups.
Yep. You know, one year we lost an engine on one. It was a $7,000 engine. Year before that, an engine went bad. We rebuilt it. It's just they mow so much that we have to constantly replace them. You know what I mean?
So this one would be the 7th one.
Yeah. And if we get behind, the highway guys will jump on them from time to time. It's always good to have some extra ones. Any questions on parks? Good. Highway garage. Contractual A 5132.4. Like there's A 5132.2 equipment, some office type equipment and stuff is 1,500. I raised that to 2,000. We buy some printers or a chair or something from time to time. 5132.4 highway contractual. This is what we pay all the bills out of the highway garage, electric bills, heating, oil, gas, blah, 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 blah. It's 43,000 for 2025. I raised that to 45,000 for 2026. So there's a, overall in that budget, there's about a $2,500 increase in that budget. This is 2025, the total budget for that line was 44.5, I'm asking for 47 there. And I think Regina, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're getting close on that one as well, so. Again, you never know, you know, if the garage heater's gonna blow up, or you never know, you know what I mean, so. Good?
Okay.
Highway A, 5010.1, this is, personal services. Okay. Again, with the raises for myself and the deputy, I asked for $1, I like to follow what the union does, $1 for him, $1 for myself. So that fund went from 141 to 145. And then 5010.4 is the uniforms that we pay for the guys. That's budgeted this year for 5,000. I raised that to 6,000. So overall, 5010.1, you know, that 50.10 went from 146 to 151. So that's a $5,000 increase there.
And that's with the $600 boot allowance?
Yes, that stays the same. Yep.
Is that for both you and the deputy, or just?
We each get it. Right. Moving on to DA, 5110.4. And I should have talked to you guys, I hate to make you jump around, but the way they were. 5110.4, general repairs. This is one of our stone and blacktop funds, 38,000, I kept it at 38,000.
We're at 5110.4?
5110.4,
Okay.
general repairs, highway.
Do you know where we are right now?
Oh, yeah, we're still good right now.
We're good, okay.
We don't do that a lot, we don't use a
Right.
lot of that in the first quarter. Second, third, fourth, we really start, because now we're starting to hammer the roads with blacktop, and then we'll start to build up our stockpiles with millings and crusher runs, so. We usually use most of that, okay? DA 5130.2, this is machinery. 5130.3, this is a capital outlay. There was 15,000 every year. We usually buy a piece of equipment. I've been buying salters, polycast salters, snow plow stuff. That was 15,000. I kept that the same for 15,000. There's a rental line below it, 4,000. I kept it at 4,000. We don't rent much because 4,000 isn't enough to rent anything. But we may rent a sweeper, 2,000, but so I kept that the same. Right? And at the end of the day, that fund is staying at 19,000. Okay, no increase. Snow removal, DA 5142.4. This is a fund that we buy salt out of. 45,000 for 2025. I'm asking for 47,000 for 2026. Again, we never know what the price of salt's gonna do. We are ahead of the game with our salt, so we're okay there. So I asked for 2,000 more. All right?
Do you store it somewhere, Dan?
Yes, Jarvis Road.
Jarvis Road, okay.
Yeah. So if you go down to Jarvis Road, there's a little pile of mix and there's a great big pile of salt.
Okay.
And again, the last couple of years, we've been buying it and stockpiling it, and we've been conserving.
Yeah.
So we're ahead of the game there.
Okay.
But again, that can all change, so, but we're good on that, okay? Well, central garage, DB 1640.4, diesel fuel, 53,000 for 2025. I raised it to 55. We're usually pretty good there, Regina, right? You know, no issues there. We've been pretty good. And the report that we do every month, you can see, it stays pretty even going, our usage is pretty similar. So I don't see any issues there. I did raise it to 55, as a comfort blanket there, okay, from 53,000. All right. Another general repairs DB fund, 5110.1. This is the personal service for the men, for the employees at the highway for the summer. The way we pay them, it's split up into two categories, winter and summer, 6 months and 6 months. So they're 220,000 is for the summertime. I raised that up because they're gonna, I'm assuming they're gonna get a contract raise. So I raised that to 230,000. And then down at the bottom, DB 5110.4, it's another stone account. It's the second one that we have. It's 30,000. I kept it at 30,000 for stone supplies. So at the very bottom, that fund carries 250,000. I raised it to 260,000. So there's a $10,000 increase there. And in that employee wages, there's 25 hours of built-in overtime there. When we budget overtime for the summertime, for trees and whatnot, and then we budget 125 hours for the wintertime. Okay, which we very rarely get up close to it, but there has been times where they get close. Okay. DB 5112.4 special improvements. This is our road capital paving. It's 225,000 for 2025. I raised it to 235,000. There's a lot of talk around the town. It should be a lot more. I get daily concerns and phone calls about road paving. Everybody wants the roads paved. Really, it would be nice to have about 350,000 in there. I raised it 10,000. Anything will help. This year, you guys know, we budgeted 225. We came in at 229. We went over by $4,600 because once you start going, things change, and then we can't stop and say, hey, we're 4,000, don't do it. We got to finish it. And we were able to, with the work of Regina, we cross-leveled that. So, okay. Questions, comments, concerns?
Sidewalks, where are you gonna be repairing sidewalks?
What's going?
Where?
Well, in Hamlet.
Okay.
That's an interesting thing because we tried to put in new sidewalks and then half the town went crazy. They didn't want them.
Because of where you put them, Dan.
Well,
They weren't very useful, that's why.
I'm just saying.
I know. but
Tried to install them and people got upset.
I can tell you how many times people walk on them too. 0. It's okay.
Yeah.
You should walk on them and not in the road. But anyway,
Do you have
we'll get to that.
do you have an idea of how many miles of road you're gonna try to do in 2026? Okay.
We do have a couple long ones that are due. I'll just say that it's probably the corridor of Blossom, Morehouse, and Tracy. They're big roads. They're in terrible shape. Okay? And this didn't happen overnight. You guys know that.
Of course.
They've been bad for a long time.
In your email, did you say you were waiting for mileage from the state in order to have capital assets of what we do per year? Is that how you're doing?
Nope.
Okay.
We know what the miles are. We have 53 lane miles. We know what they are.
Okay.
But you were asking on what the roads are worth.
Okay, yeah, no, the mileage is kind of where you go with it, so it's a larger conversation, but whenever.
53 lane miles we have.
Okay.
106 total miles. That's what we're responsible. Machinery repair, DB 5130.4. This is what keeps us afloat. 72,000 last year. We're in really good shape, we're doing good, you're gonna see a lot of expenses coming through before the snow flies. I raised this up 3,000 to 75,000. Machinery repair.
Do you think that will steady level out or go down? You know, I think you got a new truck. I know the snow plow comes in. What year is the next year?
March.
March.
Yeah, that's a good question. It should.
Okay.
You know, this is a very difficult department to run. Nobody's banging down the door to come work for us. We simply don't pay enough. Nobody wants to plow snow. And plowing snow in a big truck by yourself is not easy. And the training, we're limited with the training. In order for me to train a guy, I have to go ride with the guy, and we're just not staffed to do that. So if you come to work for me, you're gonna get the nickel dime training, and you're really gonna get thrown to the wolves. And we're gonna hope for the best, right? Because it's
On Powell Hill. There you go. Yeah.
oh, okay. You guys are all invited to come with me because I take care of problem.
I think Anthony's worse.
So, yeah, but I would like to agree with you. Yes, we should see that start to level out. Yes. All right. And that's a good question.
But we all know with salt and wintertime and everything else, it just eats at everything underneath and all the equipment, and you're banging into snow. And
So right now, the 2019 and the 2021, Danny's underneath them, and he's sending me pictures. They're just a rotted mess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the nature of the business.
Right.
Necessary evil. Snow removal, DD 5142.1. This is the other 6 months for the winter time for the employees. 220,000. I raised it to 250,000. And again, I'm sure Regina can fine tune that with the hours and the wages. We don't know what the wages are going to be for 2026, but there is 125 hours of overtime built in there for each employee. Going down to the bottom, DB 5142.4. That's another SALT fund. It was 40,000 for 2025. I raised it to 42,000. So this one went up about 30,000. Again, with the pay increases and stuff, and a little bit on the salt. This one goes from 260 to 292. Right. Salt, we could probably get by at 40,000.
How did we do that last time when New York State was out of salt, running back and forth?
So I have an account with Appalachia.
Yeah, I remember.
He gave it to me for 15 cents over the state price.
But our surplus was gone.
No, we were okay.
Okay.
We were okay.
We didn't have to wait for the state contract.
Yeah. I bought 500 tons on state contract and it was garbage. So we just kept going down to Appalachia and Cleveland. Which he did turn some people away, but not us. Okay? Employee benefits, DB 89.8. This is for some license renewals and other things. It's $585. I raised it to $650. It doesn't get much use, but it's always been there. Okay. Linda Bruno, you're up. Sidewalks.
Thank you, Dan.
D 5410.4, sidewalks, 20,000. So I have a contract with Flack Industries. I sent bids out to Flack, Carver, and Hoosick Valley to do sidewalk repair. And Flack came back, again, 20 grand, right? 20 grand is peanuts. So we were gonna start by the firehouse, and there's a couple panels that are sunk. We were gonna do them, and we're gonna work our way down.
Okay. Thank you, Dan.
I don't know if he's ever gonna get to it. It's such a small little thing. I'm trying, I'm pushing.
Thank you.
I mean, is that something that like maybe you know, the town and the village could work? I mean, I know we got boundaries,
We
but
don't really have the equipment, the jackhammers to take up the panels. We certainly don't have the expertise to pour them. The village may be able to. I could reach out to Lee and see what his thoughts are.
work as a team and try to get done for a little cheaper maybe. That's just a thought.
No, we've always thought that way. It's really not.
Because I noticed too in the village, like, you know, obviously in the town, you know, civil, next to the firehouse, those are pretty bad. In the village, they have some issues too. I see people in wheelchairs, you know, It's, if they're not on the road, they probably should almost be in the road because it's so bumpy and it looks like they're gonna tip over.
I mean, we'll go through time to time, and where there's a difference in the elevation, we'll put some concrete in, try to help smooth them out a little
Sure.
bit.
It's Westerlo. It gets-
But the water main, which you guys should be thinking about on West Willow Street, is broke several times and it takes out the sidewalk. So, not water, but the water main's down there from 1890s in Queens, so you guys should be thinking about that. Because they're not getting any younger, so. All right, so yeah, kept it at 20,000, trying to do some sidewalk repair.
Thank you.
Another B fund, 8140.4 stormwater. This is a fund that we buy our culvert pipes out of, okay? So I kept it the same. We don't use all that every year, because we try to stockpile it. But if we know we have projects coming up, and there's some big ones, we do spend quite a bit of it, so. No change there. Jumping back to A fund, the town hall, 1620.4. For 2025, we set it at 95,000. I lowered it to 50,000. But Candace raised a good point. Some of the stuff that's gonna have to be moved, I don't know where you're gonna budget that from, so usually that would probably come out of that fund.
And we're already at 70 this year. So it should be more.
So again, that's up to you guys. As the bills come to me, I just write, town hall related stuff out of that fund.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I wasn't sure, I think this should, in the past, it's been lower than 95,000, but we know there's been some moves over the years. There's gonna be another move, so it's up to you guys. Right.
We have 2023 at 115, 2024 at 80, and like I said, 70 this year. So do we want to keep that at 95 or 80? Just to.
I mean, it's up to you guys, really. I mean, we can. I mean, we did a bunch of research on this building in those years. We dug up the outside, and there was mold studies and stuff. So,
Could the moving costs from this town hall and Mount Road Extension, can those moving costs be taken out of this fund?
absolutely.
Okay.
Anything that goes on with the town halls, whether it's, the state tel or any of the repairs,
keep that at
any of that
90.
stuff, I put at the town hall.
I personally think with the new town hall coming up and the moves, I think we should keep it more 50 for sure. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I wouldn't object to just keep it at 95.
I say
Just
keep it at 95, and if we don't use it, we don't use it, but I'd rather have it than not have it. I mean, Linda and Steve, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see what the number is right now, so that we can figure out the next 3 months, anticipate what that cost is gonna be over the next 3 months.
I don't know as of today, but January through July, we were already hitting 70,000.
January to July, 70,000.
Yeah.
So that's about 10,000 a month. So you're talking another $40,000 potentially.
Nolan's rent comes out of there.
Yeah.
The cleaning comes out of there, so,
2,000.
yeah, 2,000, it's 24,000 for the rent.
So rough figures, we'd be at about $110,000. Going forward into next year, we wouldn't have the $2,000 a month in rent. So, in theory, we could potentially think that would be $24,000 less. To me, it's not the end of the end of the world to have an overinflated fund and then readjust it for the following year. I'd rather have more money in a fund than not enough money in a fund, so I would be okay with leaving it at 95.
Thank you. Another A fund, Civic Garage. This is what we buy gasoline townwide out of 1640.4. We keep 30,000 in there. Regina's got it down pretty good. I think we're gonna be okay. No issues there. I kept it at 30,000, correct? A 3010.4 public safety signs, 8,000. Again, I don't know what it is with the signs. People love our signs. We replace them, people run into them, people steal them. We did put up a couple that people requested that were missing, so that I kept it the same at 8,000. Questions or concerns on that? So the nice to have, did you guys get this?
Yeah.
So I put two things in there. Add a person to the highway group. I think it's around 75,000 to add a person, with the health insurance and the salary. We have a couple of people that are gonna be retiring. We have no succession plan in the highway department, maybe even in the town, I don't know. So if I'm Joe operator and I come in, I say, hey, I'm gonna retire, I'm out the door, boom. I'm trying to start a succession plan. I know it's not easy budgetarily, but I would like to add an extra position. It may level out if a gentleman retires, right? So we may go one heavy, and then if a guy retires, we would go back down to even status. So that's why I put that in there.
So not to cut you off, do you have, I mean, I don't know your staff necessarily, do you have certain workers that are older, maybe looking to, in the next couple of years, get out? Yeah, okay.
And, there was 4 guys that left recently with 20 years experience. So the whole crew was brand new, experience-wise. So, if we can get people in the door, that's what's driving that. And then the overhead doors are in very bad shape. We're repairing them all the time. I asked for an extra 10,000 for an overhead door replacement. That's our main door. I just bought an operator. I'm waiting for it to come. The doors they're 30 years old. They're just old and in terrible shape. So those were my not really needed, but those are my nice to haves wish list. So that's what I did.
Yeah. And those numbers are not in your 1.4, so it would be almost 1.5 if we were to.
Okay. So again, I need the budget for 2026. Don't necessarily need this, but it would be nice to have.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, Dan, just to circle back to the operator position, I love that you're thinking ahead to have succession. I talked to Mike about that to see, how many employees do you have?
So there's 10, including myself. So there's 8 union and there's Mike's 9 and 10.
Okay. And yeah, he was pretty positive that there were some guys that were looking to have some longevity.
Years ago, they had upwards of like 17 employees. I mean, maybe a little too much, but again, we're a small department. A guy's on vacation, a guy calls up sick. It just cuts us down at the knees. You know what I mean? It's hard to do any road work when you're short 2 guys. So, and again, Mike's not going to stay forever. I'm not going to stay forever. So, we got to keep getting new people in the door.
And it could cut down on overtime
Yep.
that you have scheduled in.
Overtime is pretty manageable now, but yeah.
What would this operator be? What equipment would he be on?
He would be an operator 1, so it'd be the same as the ones that are there now. You know what I mean?
Who's training guys right now? Is it Mike?
We both do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a senior operator at this point?
We do. We don't carry an operator 2. I took that out. When Mr. Bennett retired, he was operator 2. We interviewed guys. We tried a guy off the street. It didn't work. He ended up quitting. You need a certain amount of knowledge and experience to be an operator 2. So I took that out of the budget. When they do operator functions from time to time, we pay them operator 2 rate, but they're not operator 2s all the time.
What's the difference between 1 and 2?
Pay-wise?
No, just like skill-wise.
So you're gonna be able to go out on a job, you're gonna be able to install a culvert, you're gonna be able to run a grade, you're gonna be able to backfill it properly. You have to be able to kind of keep everybody moving. So if we had it, I don't have to go there, maybe Mike doesn't have to go there. He's kind of like a lead hand,
Sure.
foreman.
Yeah, okay.
And then you have to be able to run the grade all, which is a very difficult piece of equipment to run. And there's a few things around that I don't want to put anybody in jeopardy or in harm's way. If you come out and say, I can run that, okay, go ahead, and then something happens. So it's, you kinda gotta know, you know what I mean?
Sure.
If you will.
Yeah, okay.
No, like I said, we'd like to build on that. Cause I know we're gonna have some retirements in the near future, so. Okay?
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Candy, can I see the notice? Yeah.
Keith, I thought I saw Keith come in.
I did see him.
Keith.
Don't be.
Hey, how are you?
Good evening, Keith.
How's everybody?
Good morning.
Sorry my presence, I was out mowing lawns, so I just dropped and ran, here I am.
Good to see you.
Where do you wanna start? What do you wanna do?
Right at the top.
Well, as far as the sewer plant goes, I mean, it's just our salaries, that part of it. Just got some in there for, some replacement parts, just on the shelf, kind of BDP, a stator and a rotor and a recycle pump. They kind of go, they're a couple grand a piece, you know, so that's why I got that in there.
Oh, yeah, what is that, Keith? That was, didn't we purchase one of, you have the same 7,500 from last year?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
What is that?
What,
The BDP?
oh, it's for the stator, it's for the press.
Okay.
It's just extra parts for that. The pump part of it, where the sludge comes through, there's a stator. It's rubber, and then it has like an auger, almost like a camshaft in it, and it pulls the sludge through it. And with the grit and everything that's in the sludge, it scores that stator, and then eventually stops pumping.
Wasn't there an issue with it because it was at an angle? You were saying water was getting in?
The auger part of it on the end. Actually, when we put that new gearbox in and everything, and everything, and we got it going, and we haven't had much problems with the water part of it and everything. We put some seals in there, extra seals and stuff like that. So we diverted the water, plus, you know, it's been running really well now.
So that worked.
So it's worked. We haven't changed the elevation of it, but with the projects, if we get that grant money or whatever happens there, we have to address all that anyway. So we haven't touched anything. They're still supposed to come down and do something with it, because it's it's stainless steel. They have to weld some things, make some other brackets. So there's a little bit going into it, you know. And so that was one part, and then the final clarifier, just an upgrade. You know, that center console thing where it's been leaking and stuff like that. So that was in there for parts and stuff as far as that goes. But we need to address the UV system, definitely. We don't have no computer screen on it, we don't have anything. I know that was a big nut. I mean, we wanted to do an upgrade, but we didn't want to spend that 120, 140 grand, but just the upgrade alone, I think it's gonna be around, I think it was close to 28, 30 for the upgrade, just to fix what we have. Just like 30 grand.
I thought it was higher than that. It's right around 30.
Maybe. I'm just gonna go off the top of my head. It's not on here, and well, I have 30 right here, repairs.
So
it was 30,000 just for repairs to get it to operate for the next 4 or 5 years.
So if we upgrade it, we don't have to replace the whole thing? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, if we upgrade it, it's completely all new and it'll be good for 20 years except for changing the bulbs. But for the 30 grand, we're just gonna get through the next 5 years, roughly. We're just extending the life of something that's already 15 years old.
What's there?
You know, so it's just wore out and everything. Like I said, we've had a computer screen on it all summer. So we don't know what it's operating at. We just know the bulbs are lit and it's working.
So is that 30,000 for 2025 or is that for 2026?
This is for for 26, you know, because we didn't do anything in 25 with it. Because we were waiting for the grant money. We just kept putting it off. We didn't do anything all summer with it. So
are you gonna put in a budget for one of these new ones someday?
Well, that's part of the grant money. If we win that grant money, we'll do it through that, you know.
Okay.
But right now, just repairs is that.
So you're talking about phase 2, and that's not part of the CDBG that we have on phase 1?
No, what,
It's good that I'm saying it's good that you're putting this in here.
yeah.
We need to do this.
You know, I mean, Manny called me from Trojan, asked me if we were doing this again. I said, I'll find out more, you know?
Yeah.
But we're gonna shut it down come October, the end of October, 1st of November, it goes offline. Until May. March or May, I think it's May. Well, it might be March, but whatever. But it goes back online. We shut it down for the winter because no one's using the river, so we don't have the requirements that we need. For disinfection, so. Also in there is replacement for our shower, locker room shower. That's the original. The walls are rusted, it leaks, doesn't actually shut off. Just nice to have there, just in case when we get splattered with stuff, you know, we can go in and take a shower. I mean, but that was in there from 2024. We never got it done.
So it was $6,800 budgeted in
24, yes.
24.
We just never got to it because we went over.
And now you're looking at 7,500.
I just stepped on a little bit, figuring it's been 2 years. Because it's a major project. You know, we're cutting through the concrete floor, moving the drain, because that's only like a 30-inch shower. And it needs to be a little bit wider. You know, you get in there like this. Yeah, that's in there. And then gas cleaning for the UV, or for the aeration system. We didn't do it this year. This year we were just draining the tanks and cleaning them by hand. Every other year I like to have them, Kesters come in, they do it by gas, and they clean them. We did it 2 years ago. Or not this past, last year.
And for personnel services, you're looking for a $5.31 to $6.31 an hour increase?
Yeah, I wanted an increase, yes. I feel I deserve it and everything like that for me personally, yes.
That's what you're requesting, because it says $39 to $40 per hour?
I just put it in there, yes, because I put 38 last year and I didn't get it.
So that would be like a $10,000 to $12,000 increase.
Yes, probably. I mean, you do a $15,000 stipend for another department head for running upper operations. I run the leaf gate, I get nothing. You know, I run the plant. I answer the DEC. I mean, you guys give me my budget, but they can really dictate what I do and how I do it. You know, I mean.
I'm not trying to
No, I'm just saying.
or anything.
I'm just saying.
I'm just trying to figure out, because some notations on these lines, you're saying we're from 25, but there's nothing for 26. So I'm just trying to just clarify for when we go back and have our discussions now. Like for Tyler, you have $29.29 per hour.
There's a new contract coming. I don't know what it's going to be.
Okay.
So that's why I didn't put nothing for those guys.
Okay.
Because you guys are negotiating a contract.
Right.
Me across the board, I think all the town employees should get a $3 to $4 an hour raise across the board because you're having a hard time filling spots. I'll be leaving in 2 to 3 years. I'm trying to fill people that are going to take over for when I leave too. I'm just looking ahead and looking at kind of the criteria and what we, for our department, no one's going to have any kind of a license. We got lucky. We just happened to get somebody that was dissatisfied in another plant and came to us. I'm hoping that he stays. But to dish out the kind of money we send them to school to come here for 2 years and tell them they work nights and weekends and everything like that and holidays and everything for what we pay them, and they got to wait 2 years before they even go to school, and then they got to pass all those tests, and then you're asking them to pass a ABC test for the state of New York. That's very hard. Most people fail it, and everything. So you're talking 3 years before they even get a license, and everything. It's a lot to put on somebody. So I'm just asking. That's why I said that about across the board, because we're not having a hard time filling spots with qualified people and stuff. So I think it would help out Mr. Baker in that with his department too. But across the board, even for the people that are here, that maybe that incentive for them to stay instead of leaving every time. But that's another thing I wanted to ask you guys: if we do send another person to school, like for the police department, they have a little contract that they sign for, like maybe they have to stay for 3 years or something. I don't know if that would be an option or something. I just want to throw it out there. Because, that's what usually, we had Mr. Tyler, cereals, going up the street, because it was more money. So I understand, I'm not bad, but this is what we're facing, trying to fill the spots, you know. We train them and then they go to a bigger facility where they can make more money, so I'm just trying to figure out some way to keeping people, but also, you know, we also invest in them too. So I wanna try to, you know, we could do something like that for a contract or maybe something verbal.
Yeah, that makes sense, thanks.
Makes sense.
Do you have a total then, Keith, of what the 2026 budget would be?
I will get it to you, you know, I definitely will get it to you. With everything going on, I just threw this together to get it to Regina, you know, it was even late. And everything, with everything going on, without having people and just trying to clean and work down there.
And again, something for the board to think about is, you know, whether we want to talk about and possibly put in money into the budget for sewer upgrades going forward.
Yeah, I think that's what he's got here for the clarifier and the UV system repair. Absolutely, absolutely the UV system repair, that's been,
Yeah, I
we've
mean,
been doing that manually for months now.
Yeah.
Cleaning screens.
yeah, it's just a constant thing. I mean, sunlight, you know, the algae grows up in that, and we clean the one, and then we go over, because that algae goes through the UV system, then we gotta go over there and clean that, and, you know, so it's just a, yeah. We do it weekly. Only because we're, you know, we need it for disinfection, so you gotta have it, you know. Because if we don't, you know, we don't, then we get in trouble for it.
So I just had a question with the Adirondack Labs on .4.
No?
Was that increased because of the UV?
No. Where are you?
The Adirondack Labs.
And the
from
collection
22.
systems, 8120.4.
Oh, okay, over there. Well, that's his collection system. That, I thought that we were writing on leach aid, so the first two top lines were leach aid on the collection system one. You see there's it says Adirondack Lab, it says vegetation control, and that's under collection system. That shouldn't be there,
Oh, gotcha.
because it's on the other one for leach aid.
Okay, the numbers are the same though.
No, yeah.
We're talking a $5,500 increase for,
Well, leach aid for the lab. Now, we just did one for our Speedies permit out there. They wanted to do a big lab, that we just spent $6,100 on lab, just last year for that. They want us to do another big one I'm waiting to hear from them. We're supposed to do it this month. And then we gotta do another one next year, because they wanted 3 consecutive labs done. But we don't run that like a regular plant. That's seasonal, and we only do that thing like once or twice a year. So we did it last year, we're doing it this year. They're extended our thing for the testing on the parameters of there, what we're having out there. That's what they're, you know, so there'll be another one next year. So I just put a little extra in there for that, because it was 6,100 and everything, and I don't know if they're gonna make us do that whole thing. They may let us get rid of some of like the minerals, but we're still gonna do the PFOAs, and it's called 601, which I think is more the contaminants, like some more harsh contaminants. It's not your regular, you know, minerals and stuff like that. So I'm waiting to hear back from the lady from DEC. I put an email out to her, plus I called her. She wasn't in the office, so I'm still waiting to hear back from her, so I can get Adirondack out there to do the testing. I want to make sure we're doing I don't want to, if I could save us money and not do 6,000, do something a little cheaper, that's what I was waiting to do. So that was what we. Oh, another thing about the sewer plant, the dumping fees for the landfill for the sludge is right now it's $135 a ton. It's going to $160 a ton, so it's an additional $25 a ton. Well, we're taking 8-10 tons out a week. That's starting to add up.
So is that 8120?
8130.
8130.
Now, it's not on there. I just got the thing in the mail. After that, so it's going to be an extra $25 a ton every time we go to
So we'll have to wait for numbers on that.
for the full year, yeah. Because that's going to go up.
because like, Collins, we did 32,000. Projecting to do 31,000, landfill was 60,000. Central Hudson would be 63,000 for electric. National Grid, 72,000, certainly that's about 15 per hour. New Holland, I mean, I don't know if you guys have, I got this.
I don't think I didn't
I
get
don't
that.
have that.
So, yeah. So this is what I, because this is like the gas cleaning, the fiber sanitation, telephone, call again, all the people that we do business, so that was 200, you were asking a total, that's 202,900. And then another 15,800 will be just for the sewer plant. So that's what, be 218,000. In leachate, I got around 14,000 total.
So just to jump to 8120 again, you have $5,000 here in point one, and I'm assuming that benefits are 2,500. Is that correct?
The personal services there? Or no, you're talking equipment?
No, yeah, well, point one, going into just what we have in here before. So you have the 5,000 for personal service.
Yeah.
Collection, yep.
Yeah, I just want to jump back there because we kind of skipped over it because you had the wrong things on there. Benefits, are we estimating they're staying at 2,500, Regina?
Where are you at?
Collection system.
8120.8.
So benefits, mine, like 0.1?
No, 8120.8.
Oh. Actually, that's gonna go up for sure because he just hired Operator Rice.
Right.
So, Linda's working on her HR end of all that right now.
Okay.
Because he came in at a higher rate.
Yeah.
So we'll be going through this again.
Yeah, I have to definitely clean up all these
Yep.
pages, and we'll have to decipher what would be covered under grant,
Mm-hmm.
and then, tentatively not include that, but definitely include like the UV system. Could they do that when it goes offline?
Yes, oh, definitely.
Okay, so that should actually be done first of the year if you approve that in the budget, and that it's up and running for May.
How long will that project take?
It all depends on shit, the parts and stuff. He didn't say any timeline.
Okay. Any further questions?
No, we have to get more information for this.
Yep.
No.
And then the shower quote, for instance, is a few years old.
Yeah, that's what I said, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll work on that, Keith. I'll work with you.
Any further questions?
Not
For me at this time.
Yeah. Thanks, Keith.
Board, if you could just remember that you still have a public hearing open.
Oh, I've got public hearing.
Yeah.
Can you guys explain 3.3 million, is that what you're asking to borrow?
No. If I leave anything out, let me know. So the project is the cost is estimated at $3.3 million. We got a $500,000, we're gonna get it, it's guaranteed, $500,000 grant.
So you said two things. So
Yeah.
Did you get it?
It's awarded to us, right, Mr. Scott? It's like it's awarded to us. It's
No, we
shortly.
put the application in for phase 1 at 3.3.
But you haven't got the 500,000 yet.
It's,
Oh, you're talking about
Not
the
in
USDA
hand.
grant?
You said you got it.
I said we got the grant. It's coming soon.
So it's looking like you're gonna.
I don't think it's funny, but
I mean,
it's been appropriated, I believe is the term of art.
Okay.
It's been congressionally appropriated. The folks from LaBerge have indicated they don't think there's any question that we will get it, but there is a process that we have to go through in terms of finalizing the paperwork before the money is actually in the town's accounts. And so but you don't, the funds aren't actually in hand yet.
Because we're using the USDA as leverage for the CDBG.
the CDBG is a $2 million additional grant for this $3.3 million project. So we're not taking out loans for the whole thing. We'd only be responsible for the remainder, which is about $850,000, give or take. And what we have on the plan for tonight as a resolution, we also are going for the WIA grant, Dan, which is essentially just a grant to help out, people who take out loans like this. This is the 866 or the 850, whatever we're responsible for. If you get this WIA grant, you could save from 25 to 50% of the cost of that $800 and some thousand. So if we don't get the WIA grant, then we are on the hook to bond out over 30 years the 850, 860. Also, too, LaBerge is trying to get us in a low interest, 0% interest or 1% interest loan, 30-year loan for whatever the remainder is. So
again, we every month we talk about, and I'm trying to read all of this work, and I think you're going down the right road where I think the pump station is going to be first, correct? So what I'd like to see is a phased out approach, right? So we got to do the lift station, right? We're going to do that, and then we're going to budget for that. The next year we're going to pick up the sewer line, right? The 15-inch sewer line. Then the following year we're going to pick up. To me, it seems like an awful lot of work to be done when? All at one time? Or how's that going to flow?
Did we order those? Did you order that?
I signed the contract and sent it in last Friday.
Lift station pumps.
Yeah.
Right? Needed, great thing. So now for next year, what can we budget and what can we tackle, right? Because this says pump stations, 15-inch sewer line, replacement of existing manholes, which I'm not sure which ones are they. Are they the ones on Main Street?
I don't know anything about existing manholes.
Okay. Says replacement of existing manholes, including original furnishings, equipment. I don't know what that's kind of a generic statement. Equipment, machinery, apparatus, incidental improvements and expenses. So it's just kind of gray to me to hear all those words and say, yeah, it's $3 million. And my planning mind says, you're going to do the lift station, do that. Next year, pick something, do that. Following year, let's try to phase this out. So for that, I'm not for. I would not vote for that. Okay, that's just my own opinion.
What are you reading?
Where are you reading it?
This is
He's
the
reading
public hearing.
the public notice.
Oh, okay.
The public notice provided a very general description of what the public hearing was about. The detailed description of what the work is that's actually entailed is in the, I think initially it was an MJ engineering report, which has now been updated by LaBerge. Originally, I believe the MJ engineering report was approved or produced back in 2022, when at that time the board adopted a resolution to pursue the WIA financing for the same scope of work. It was not successful because the resolution wasn't satisfactory from the government's perspective. And so this is another attempt to go at that. And so it's a $3.3 million project. If you receive the CDBG grant, that would cover $2 million. You have the USDA grant, which is $500,000. If you were successful in getting the WIA grant, it would reduce that by 50%. And so potentially the town's contribution towards this $3.3 million project would be, $400,000 that, according to LaBerge, could be financed over 30 years at 0 or 1% interest. So for $1,100 a month for 30 years, the town would be able to install the $3.3 million project. In terms of timing, my understanding is that the WIA grants are reviewed and acted on in late this year or early next year. I meet with the engineers, I guess, to decide if you were awarded those funds, would that be done in 2026 or would it stretch into 2027? I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, it just seems like a lot of generalities all lumped in one.
I mean, because all that is a public notice,
Yeah.
right? It's not an engineering.
And again, we talk about it every month. It's very confusing. Nobody really understands it. And it's all this work and it just, like I said, I'd like to see a phased out approach taken over time. But
It's laid out pretty clearly. I mean, the documents do speak for themselves.
And essentially, what Mr. Riley just said would be a perfect case situation. The reason we're here tonight for this public hearing is because the town board is contemplating bonding $3.3 million. Now, granted, we can kind of shuffle in all of the other details, but we're here tonight because the town board is contemplating entering into a bond resolution agreement for $3.3 million.
You're here tonight because the town board is contemplating applying for a WIA grant. Without this resolution, your grant will be rejected. That's exactly what happened back in 2022.
That may be. That may be, but essentially what you're telling WIA is that we can go forward with borrowing $3.3 million in hopes that they will essentially give us the full $2 million award.
We are adopting the resolution tonight, or you're considering the resolution tonight, that's been prepared by bond counsel, which expressly includes the clause, provided, however, that no obligation shall be issued pursuant to this bond resolution prior to its ratification and confirmation by readoption after this town board has been advised of the award of any grants relating to said specific object or purpose. If you're advised that you didn't get any grants, you won't proceed with the funding or with the bond process. If you don't adopt this,
I don't know that the town board wouldn't do that.
the future town board will be able to make that decision.
They would be able to make that decision, but as of right now, I don't know that.
If you don't act on this, the entirety of the $800,000 will be on the taxpayers within that sewer district if this project goes forward. If you allow the grant to proceed, there's a possibility that half of that $800,000 will be covered by a grant.
And Dan, in 2022, the town board had unanimously, we had an I&I problem in those areas. And we still do. But they said, hey, we know there's a problem. We got an MJ Engineering report to say this is how you fix it. And they voted in a resolution unanimously to go after this $2 million grant. It was not written correctly. So it was denied. It happens. It is what it is.
Yeah, I get it.
The problem, like you said, still exists.
Yeah.
So we are trying in this meeting, because we already voted like a month ago to go after the grant. That's already going to happen, the CDBG grant. This resolution right here is either going to possibly save the taxpayers $400,000, or it's going to cost taxpayers $860,000. Do I have that correct? Mr. Riley, is that roughly what we're referring to tonight?
$3.3 million.
Or you can either apply for you have a problem, right? You have an I&I problem with your sewer system. 2 engineering firms have estimated the cost of that. One estimated it at 2.5. you were not successful in dealing with it back in 2022. That estimate is now up to 3.3. Mr. Baker, I think, suggested that the town should take that on itself and phase it in over years. That is an approach, but what that would require is for the taxpayers within that sewer district to pay the entirety of that $3.3 million cost, which is what it is. And they may pay it over time, but those taxpayers will pay it. Alternatively, you can adopt a resolution like this based on the recommendation of LaBerge and Bond Council and try to get grant funding, which would reduce that $3.3 million exposure in a best case scenario down to $400,000 that would be financed with a low interest loan over 30 years.
And Dan, I get what you're saying, right? I mean, I don't like to take out bonds, and we don't take out a bond. But the thing is, do you want to pay? Does the town want to pay to fix this problem that we know has been a problem since 2022 because they got the reports? Do you want the taxpayers to pay $3.3 million over time, or do you want to pay $400,000 in a 0% bond for 30 years, $1,000 a month? I mean, to me, $400,000 for $3.3 million worth of work is quite a deal. I would take that any day of the week.
It sounds like it, yes. Now, I know this has been brought up in the past too, with the work inside the plant. Where does the village come into this as a co-partner?
Phase one, as I understand it, pertains to the pump pits and sewer pumps and the lines that are outside. So this really would be within the town's purview or responsibility. Yep. Phase two, as I understand it, which LaBerge has indicated they may pursue grants for next year. It will be a similar process involving commitments on the part of the town.
Sure.
But they would pursue funding or grants for phase two in the next cycle for both CDBG and WIA. That then is within the gates, so to speak.
So the trunk line, is that the trunk line on Main Street in Queens that's scheduled to get replaced?
That's the one we want to get replaced because that's where we're having the issue with the overflow.
That's where the T comes in?
Yeah.
Okay. And then how far north would that go? All the way to the bridge?
No, we're not. We're going south. We're going down by Connors and the police station, the sheriff's,
yeah.
and we're going towards James Drive.
Because it says 1,500 feet, so you're going 1,500 feet south.
Yes, we're going to go down, and we're going to go down to James Drive and then cut. I'd like to cut through those people's yard and go around behind that garage because that's
where they stop.
They stopped on the anthill, and they need to come up and around and fix that. It's like an 8 mile.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, so that's that, and part of that 500,000 was that, or that was the 2 lift stations and that little bit of work.
So let me say, sorry to interrupt you, Dan. Let me say this also too, like Mr. Riley said, if we don't get the WIA grant, that will definitely hurt our chances to get the $2 million. And we've already put up tens of, engineering firms charge big bucks to have all these reports done. So we've hired LaBerge to do just that. And we have, I don't know the exact cost, but we have, several tens of thousands of dollars out there that could be, just burn that money because it was a waste. So
his question was answered though about the village's part in this.
Well, we'll be in phase 2.
They're more of a phase.
This is not of the village.
But it seems like they don't have to pay for anything. We're paying for it.
For
Next phase they
for
will.
phase one, which is focused on the
Lift station.
The
lift station and the pipes.
Right.
That involves the portion of the infrastructure that is either a town responsibility or a village responsibility. It's not a shared responsibility. For whatever reason, when the intermunicipal agreement was initially adopted back in 2010, and this may even predate, with other sewer agreements, the responsibility, each municipal entity was responsible for the transmission lines within its own borders, and then they shared the expenses within the gates of the facility itself. This happens, the project in terms of what the engineers have presented, phase one is the lines, so it's the town's piece. Phase two would be that shared component within the fence.
Okay.
So what's crazy is everybody uses that line going to the plant, town and village together.
Yeah.
The I&I problem is largely with the village. So I would ask you guys, when you guys work with the village, have those conversations, say, hey, what are you doing over there?
Absolutely.
Right, we know, right, I've spent many times, we know where they are. What's going on with that, because that causes a lot of problems down the line.
I totally agree, Dan, but that's not this.
No, I understand.
That's phase two, we're at phase one.
Understood.
So,
The other thing that's very complex when it comes to replacing this line, you can't shut off the sewer. So just imagine digging down and trying to replace that main trunk line, you can't shut off the village. So just think about that when you go home tonight. How are they gonna do that? It's very, very tricky to shut the flow off and put a new pipe in alongside the old pipe.
Now, these are huge, complex projects that we're dealing with.
1,000 gallons a day.
So, yeah, again, I know we've all been working on this and talking about it, and it hasn't been that clear about. I know we have to do it to get the grant, but it sounds like the town's going to be on the hook for an excessive amount of money.
Yeah, that's a
As a taxpayer, I'm
misrepresentation.
concerned.
It sounds like that, but that's not what it is. And we have, as to further your point, we have been walking up to this project as a town board, doing what's right for the town, and to pull back now would just be incredibly reckless and a waste of time and money, and the project still wouldn't get done. I mean, the project may still get done. Without any of these grants, this project has to get done.
Well,
And as Rich, to further his point, says, either the taxpayers are gonna pay $3.3 million, or we're gonna try to do our jobs and work with the legal department and work with the engineering firms to get this job done. We've been working really hard at it. So to misrepresent it by saying the town's gonna be on the hook for 3.3 million is true if we don't do this. So this has to happen.
again, I agree, disagree with you a little bit, because I think the work has to get done. The pace that it gets done, I don't know if we can agree on that, because this is all based on 2022, and nothing's been done since then.
Because they failed.
Understood, but the work hasn't gotten done, right? So we're still operating, and nothing's changed, right? So, the rate of this stuff getting done, I think we need to pump the brakes a little
Well, it's
bit.
like your garage door. Do you want a garage door this year? It would be nice. Or do you want to wait another 11 years when you're duct taping it together?
The problem was identified in the 2020s, right? Nothing has been done. It's 5 years now.
And it now costs $800,000 more to
Correct.
fix
And
that.
that's a given, right? That's the cost.
Also, let's not forget the 64 violations and the manholes blowing off every time we have a rain event. The people that live down there, I get emails all the time. My yard's flooded. My quality of life is miserable because we have, what is it? 8-inch pipes?
That's a 15, but we have a 10 and a 15 going into a 15.
But you know what's causing that?
The I&I in the village.
Yeah.
That's what's causing it. I've witnessed it. I videotaped it. That's what's causing that. So you gotta be careful, because all the I&I backs up down there on Main Street.
Right. So when we have heavy rains, that's what exacerbates it. We also have at Riverview, constant flow from the industrial park, never stops. It never stops, and we don't know why, because we didn't put that system in there. The town didn't, the industrial park did. So there's a ton of work to do, and we gotta start right now. And going back and forth and misrepresenting what we're doing here is not helping the town at all.
I know.
Stopping everything.
And we've talked a lot about the lift stations, right? They were put in 2001, right, Keith?
They new pumps in 2000.
Yeah. There's been some trunk line work, so past boards have done work. There's a whole new trunk line that runs down in front of Candace's house, and then there's a new piece across from James Drive that runs down to the plant, so there has been some work done. I can't speak to the work inside the plant. That's more, he would know more, but I know there's work that needs to be done. But
And that's, to further your point, that's where the village water comes from. That trunk line that was replaced, that goes behind Seville.
I know.
That's village water.
Well, that's also another option, because that is still the trunk line, so you could not possibly, I don't want to say put them on the hook for, something, but it is the trunk line. It is still part of the trunk line that goes to the plant that takes all the water.
And we are in discussions. I called
No,
Nancy.
that's what I'm saying. I don't want to, say anything, but they did do a portion when we did the last project, because it is the main trunk line. So they did pay a portion of that bill too. But that was also, I think, grant money too. that we have gotten, because that was with John Kerr and Larry Conrad and all them, Bill Bailey, they were all fighting over that whole bit then.
Yeah, you have to try for these grants to alleviate the tax burden.
They're
Have
good
to try.
And I know, I've sat up there, I know it's not easy, we're relying on the reports and the attorneys, I like the phased out approach, to take it slow and do what we need to do.
And I can appreciate that, Dan, right? But to me, again, it's, do you want to pay the full 3.3 million, and then by the time we phase it out, it's 4.3 million, and we can't never catch up? Or do you try to get it down to $400,000 now for $3.3 million in work? And also, too, I think what gave some comfort to me, because I don't want to take out a bond, trust me. Gives comfort to me is when Scott Searles was here, Scott Siegel was here from LaBerge. You know, we had some trepidation about that, and really, he said, even if you get all these grants and it doesn't feel right, you don't have to accept them.
Correct.
I mean, you know, and also too, plans change. You can change a part of the plan, but you got to get the bulk of the money so you can at least start your work.
I know we had a sewer rate increase last year, right? So I'm just curious, when this all goes down, is there gonna be another sewer rate increase?
What was that increase, $7
If you get the
a
grant
month?
funding, right? I mean, if you get the grant funding and you get a low interest loan and you're only paying $400,000,
I mean, the
what
Hamlet
that budgetary
users,
impact might
there was
be,
an
I
increase.
defer to them.
Yeah.
But if you have a $2.3 million or $3.3 million project that has to be funded,
That's the only way.
state mandates it, you're looking at a heck of a sewer increase.
And
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Resolutions? I'll go first. I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution, moves adoption, whereas on or about July 24th, 2025, the Town Board of the Town of Queens, the Board, accepted and approved contract documents prepared by LaBerge, in connection with the 2524 Route 9W building retrofit project, called the project. The complete interior building retrofit work at the Town of Queens' new Town Hall facility. And whereas the board authorized the town clerk to work with supervisor, the town attorney, and LaBerge to advertise for construction bids for the project using the contract documents approved by the board, with a bid opening date of August 26, 2025 at 2 p.m. at the Town of Queens Town Hall, 18 Russell Ave, Ravena, New York. And whereas responses to the bid were to be received by the town by August 26, 2025 at 2 p.m., which was the date advertised, and whereas the Town of Queens received 5 responses to the bids by August 26, 2025 at 2 p.m., each of which was opened in public and read out loud, and whereas LaBerge has reviewed each of the 5 responses and has submitted a report to the town relative to an analysis of the bids, and whereas the board has reviewed, discussed, and evaluated the responses that received in accordance with the required procedures and in consideration of LaBerge's report. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens hereby accepts and approves the bid proposal for the 2524 Route 9W building retrofit project to complete interior building retrofit work at the Town of Queens' new Town Hall facility, submitted by AOW Construction, LLC. And further, the Town Board of the Town of Queens hereby authorizes the town supervisor to take such actions and sign such documents necessary in connection with the acceptance of this bid proposal.
Second, and for discussion, I'd like to read Jim Clark's letter from LaBerge. Dear Supervisor Donnelly and Town Board members, sealed bids for the above noted project were received on August 26, 2025. 5 bids were received on this date: AOW Construction, LLC, Flack Industries Incorporated, Gallo Construction Corp., Bass Hatfield Construction LLC, and Midstate Industries Ltd. These bids have been checked for accuracy and adherence to the specifications. DOL is not reporting any issue, that's the Department of Labor, any issues with any of these companies' references and professional qualifications is also reject. No issues with timeliness of work, quality of work, and adherence to good commercial construction practices were discovered. Bid tabulation is attached for your records. We find the stated qualifications and references to be satisfactory, and therefore recommend that AOW Construction LLC be awarded the contract with a base bid amount of $205,668. We also recommend that none of the 3 deductible alternatives be accepted. The draft resolution is attached for your convenience. Jim Clark.
All sort of discussion, like we had talked about, I think AOW is a great fit. We looked through all the bids. It was $100,000 cheaper than the second lowest. And, cheaper is always better. You get what you pay for. But, if you research AOW, they've done a lot of big projects. They're a big company who seems like they do great work. And I think for this smaller sort of job, I don't see why they would have any problem doing a great job with it. And, getting what you paid for. I think Jim Clark did a great job. I know back when we first started this whole ordeal, it was between LaBerge and MJ. LaBerge came in at I think 18.5. MJ came in at, what was it?
80,000.
80,000. And there was discussion then about is cheaper better, but I'm happy with LaBerge and what Jim Clark has done thus far. And, I think the lowest bid in this case might probably be the best bid, and I support that.
Yeah, and just to say to Jim, and I think we had a question about, is it going to stay at 18.5? It absolutely did, and he absolutely went above and beyond and did a lot of the work that MJ had said they would have done for the $80,000. So good work for us. I think we saved $60,000. That'll come in handy when we're doing this construction work.
And I also think, too, I think I was personally surprised about the number. I mean, we kept talking about 500,000, trying to get under 500,000, would that happen or not? And I'm pretty happy that it was just a touch over 200,000. And I think that really helps us and puts us in a good spot for the next phase, which would obviously be, now we can really focus on the police, we can focus on the town court, town hall. And I do think now this is sort of getting cleaned up with the original retrofit. We can start focusing on that, hopefully at our next board meeting, and we can talk about ideas and look into that further to get that ball rolling.
So just for my discussion purposes, so the resolution indicates that the board has reviewed, discussed, and evaluated the responses that it received. Up until this point in time, the board, to my knowledge, hasn't had any discussion about the 3 bids that came in. We are now having the discussion after the resolution has been read. The public is now aware of the September 2nd, 2025 letter from Mr. Clark. And just for my own thoughts and opinions, I don't know AOW Construction, Flack Industries. Obviously, we know Flack. Flack is local to our area. Gallo Construction, not really sure about them. Bass Hatfield, we've definitely heard of, or I've definitely heard of. They were the most expensive out of these bids. Midstate Industrials, I don't know. I struggled with this decision, or the decision that we're going to go with. As Councilmember Stott indicated, lower isn't always better. It's not always worse. Unfortunately, Flack Industries was significantly higher than AOW. It would have been an easier decision on my end if it was a little bit lower and closer to the AOW. I really hope that the AOW is as reputable as they seem on their websites and everything else, because again, other than looking at their website, I have no idea. I've never heard of anybody using them.
And
well, just to very, very quickly, so if anybody's ever been to Five Rivers, they did the educational center there. They've done a ton of work at SUNY Albany. They did the reception hall there. They've done the oncology in Saratoga Center. They have done work for Albany Med. The list goes on and on. They've done unbelievable amounts of work with senior housing. And we're lucky to have them because they're a relatively large company, and it fits into our window because in between 2 large projects, this is a very small project for them. And we've had indications that they will be done well before the December 15th deadline. So the price is right, the deadline is on point, and congratulations to us, because we're really moving this project along once again, to get the town offices for $1.2 million and the project done before the end of the year so that we can move in there. All the other little pieces that we have to deal with, this has been a huge project and a huge lift, and we really pushed it through, so congratulations to all of us. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, this is a public interest order, and I, Supervisor Donnelly, offer the following public interest order and move its adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Queens, Albany County, New York, has caused to be prepared a map, plan, and report, including an estimate of cost pursuant to Section 202-B of the Town Law relating to the increase and improvement of the facilities of the Queens Hamlet Sewer District and the Town of Queens, Albany County, New York, being reconstruction, improvement, and rehabilitation of pump stations, replacement of approximately 1,500 linear feet of 15-inch sewer lines, and the replacement of existing manholes, including original furnishings, equipment, machinery, apparatus, appurtenances, and incidental improvements, and expenses in connection therewith at the maximum estimated cost of $3,366,000. And whereas at a meeting of said board duly called and held on August 14, 2025, an order was duly adopted by it and entered in the minutes specifying said board would meet to consider the increase and improvements of faculties of said sewer district and said town at a maximum estimated cost $3,366,000, and to hear all persons interested in the subject thereof concerning same at Town Hall, 18 Russell Avenue in Ravena, New York, on September 3rd, 2025 at 5 p.m. prevailing time. And whereas said order duly certified by the town clerk was duly published and posted as required by law, and whereas a public hearing was duly held at the time and set forth in said notice at which all persons desiring to be heard were duly heard. And now, therefore, be it ordered by the Town Board of the Town of Queens, Albany County, New York as follows. Section 1, upon the evidence given at aforesaid public hearing, it is hereby found and determined that it is in the public interest to make an increase and improvement of the facilities of the sewer district in the Town of Queens, Albany County, New York, being reconstruction, improvement, and rehabilitation of pump stations, replacement of approximately 1,500 linear feet of 15-inch sewer lines, and replacement of existing manholes on Main Street, including original furnishings, equipment, machinery, apparatus, appurtenances, and incidental improvements and expenses in connection therewith at a maximum estimated cost of $3,366,000. Section 2, this order shall take effect immediately. Can I get a second?
Second that.
Second by Councilperson Bruno. Over for discussion.
Yeah, a couple things. I know we have two resolutions here, and this is discussion will maybe cover both, I don't know. Rich, is this the one that needs 4 votes, or the next one?
My understanding that it's the next one.
Okay, then I'll wait. No discussion.
Actually,
No, I'll discuss. Sorry, I'm going to discuss. So we need 4 votes. It's not a normal one where you just need 3 votes. You need 4 votes for the next one, but we're talking about the same topic, so why not? And, Mr. Schmidt, I understand your position on bonds. I can respect that. I don't want to take out any money if I don't have to. I think I'm with you on that. However, like I sort of said to Mr. Baker, I think we're past that point. We already voted on the CDBG grant. We have already voted to go for that.
I didn't.
Well, I know, but the majority of the board did.
All along. If your discussion is towards me, that's fine.
It is.
But
yes.
I'm just reminding everybody.
That's fine. That's fine.
My position all along has been no.
I agree. Yep. No, that's fine. So we have a majority vote to go for the CBG grant to get the $3.366 million for phase 1. Now, like I said to Mr. Baker, this next resolution, and sort of ties into this, we are just simply trying to not pay $866,000 possibly. We're trying to get it down to $400,000. So if we're talking about fiscal responsibility, in my opinion, would be voting yes for the WIA grant because it's going to lower our payment potentially down by $400,000. Whereas if we don't do this, we very easily could be on the hook for $866,000. So somehow, we have to think about it that way, where fiscal responsibility is actually voting yes for this and trying to get a grant for half of the sum. If not, we're going to be on the hook for $866,000. Because we already passed as a board, the majority passed the CBG grant to go after it. So that's said and done for the most part. This is just, if you want to fight the grant, but don't fight trying to save $400,000.
No,
And that's all I have to say.
It's more than that, but
Okay.
that's your opinion, and that's fine. I have said all along that I'm not in support of the CDBG grant. I've said all along that I'm not in support of the WIA grant. I have been in support of the USDA grant and going after the $500,000 and collecting the $500,000 and making $500,000 in repairs. And then going forward, applying for grants that we don't have to enter into bond resolutions for $3.366 million. I mean, you can spin it any way you want. When you read the next resolution, you are going to see that it says that the town is going to bond $3.66 million. Granted, there now is a clause in there that says if we don't get the WIA grant, then we can back out. That's fine. This town board, there's an election coming up, and this town board may change effective January 1st. We don't know what future town boards are going to do. And I'm not in a position to lock in the town taxpayers or a future town board into potentially dealing with a $3.366 million bond.
But you would want the taxpayers to pick it up and paying extra taxes if we don't get the grant.
No.
Well, then,
$2.3 million problem.
how do you figure? You can't have it both ways.
We've had a $2.5 million problem since 2022.
Which is
We're
now escalated.
we're still running, right? We've had numerous conversations with our department head at the sewer plant, where he has specifically stated in public forum that we are not in dire straits. He has, out of his own mouth, has said, we are not in dire straits. We need these pumps replaced at Riverview Station. And I'm all in favor of that. And I've said since day one, let's order the pumps. So I'm not about not putting any money into the sewer plant. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to lock the taxpayers into right now $3.366 million. It's like if you need.
It's not what it is.
No, it's not, Stephen.
That's not spin. I'm just saying you, from a legal perspective, that is 100% absolutely not what this resolution says.
And also,
Okay.
Steve, you, George, and everybody else on the board in 2022 voted to do exactly what we're doing. The only difference is
It was less money.
it was less money because you did not get the grant for various reasons, and costs have gone up. I mean, costs go up, and costs are going to go up. If you try to piecemeal it like Dan said, it's going to be a $5.2 million, and then it will be dire straits, and then what do? Then you got no shot. Pay
That's not true.
$400,000 now before you got to
That's
pay
not true.
3.5 plus later and put on the taxpayers. I just listen, and I respect the fact if we didn't already approve the CBG grant.
I didn't.
I know, if the board didn't already approve it, I know you didn't, but the majority did. If we didn't already approve that, it'd be a different story. But we already approved it. It's going. We just have to try to get the total cost down by $400,000.
I am not doing anything different, and we haven't even voted yet. But
I
my
know.
position has not changed in months.
I know, but I feel like I was hoping
We were hoping that Mr. Hoteling might be here to potentially get you a fourth vote, but he's not here.
Then I'm trying to talk sense into you.
I have a lot of sense.
But Steve, you have your counsel telling you your legal counsel, a lawyer with a law degree telling you what you are perceiving something to be is not correct. You have to take that for value at some point, right?
Read the next resolution when you're done with this.
I will. I will read it, and then we'll ask Mr. Riley again, ask him the same question, and then we'll hear his answer.
This coming from the same person that voted against going after a $17 million grant for an electrical upgrade.
We can talk that. Okay, I have no problem talking about that.
That contractually obligates the town to be responsible for what, $70 or $80 million?
No.
Yes, it does, Steve. Whoever wrote that resolution wrote it wrong, plain and simple.
No, it
That's
doesn't.
exactly what.
I mean, you can try to gang up on me. It's
We're
okay.
not, Steve.
Let's just focus on what
I mean, I have the town attorney now trying to tell me.
He's giving you his sound legal advice like he always has done, Steve. I don't think he's trying to spin you either
I do have
way.
a question, though. You made some good points. So you were saying that Keith said that we're not in dire straits.
Did you hear him say that?
I didn't, because he comes into my office and he
You
talks.
didn't hear him say that?
He
I didn't hear him
speaks
say that.
differently about what wastewater treatment plan is. He doesn't like to use words like catastrophic failure. But putting that to the side, it's 2025, and it's your perception that the wastewater treatment plan is not in dire straits. So in 2022,
I have no knowledge. I can only go by my senior chief operator.
okay. So in
And
2022,
engineering.
you have to imagine that the plant was in less dire straits. So how do you reconcile that you voted unanimously in 2022 and it explicitly says to put the town on the hook for, it says the estimated total cost thereof, the maximum amount of $2,510,000, said cost to be funded through the town funds.
Because we were going after a $2.5 million grant.
Right, so then you have EFC writing this letter that says, this is WIA, your application was deemed incomplete because the following was not submitted. This resolution that we're trying to do right now. This was a defect.
That's fine, but you just
A defect
asked
in the
me
resolution. First of all, you voted for $2.5 million.
to go after.
Second of all, the resolution was written incorrectly
That
by
may be. I didn't
either
write.
the town attorney or the town supervisor, who I hear rumors that he's an attorney, maybe. But these resolutions that failed.
You just asked me why I voted for that resolution.
How do you
That's because
reconcile?
we went for a $2.5 million grant at that time. We didn't go for a $2 million grant for a $3.66 million project.
How do you reconcile that from 1 million, from 2 million to 3 million? It's the same thing. It's a bond resolution. It puts us in a position to go after funds, period. It doesn't put the town on the hook for anything.
Again, the number is very different.
Isn't the purpose of this particular resolution in layman's term just to say that it's been determined that it is in the public's interest to make repairs?
Yeah.
That's what this is.
This is nothing
Yeah.
about the bond, this is just saying we've
Right.
held a public hearing
Right.
and it's been deemed that it's within the best interest of the town.
That's correct.
So I feel like
So
this
let's just vote on
conversation is
For the next one.
for the next
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, well, we can see where it's going, I think.
Never know.
If there's no further discussion, we'll do a roll. I vote yes.
I vote yes.
Nay.
Okay, this particular resolution passes. So, do you want to spare you reading this entire contract, Linda? Because Steve's obviously not going to read it. We can just continue the conversation, because this bond resolution dated
No, you have to
September
read
3rd, 2025 is a resolution
We should read it.
authorizing the issuance of $3,366,000 bond of the town of Queens, Albany County, New York, to pay the cost of the increase in improvement of the facilities of the Queens Hamlet Sewer District, in the town of Queens, Albany County, New York. Supervisor Donnelly offered the following resolution and move its adoption, whereas pursuant to the provisions heretofore duly had and taken in accordance with the provisions of section 202B in the town law, and more particularly in order dated the date hereof, the town board of the town of Queens has determined it to be in the public interest to improve the facilities of the Queens Hamlet Sewer District in the town of Queens, Albany County, New York, at the maximum estimated cost of $3,366,000. And whereas the capital project herein described as proposed has been determined to be an unlisted action pursuant to the regulations of New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, promulgated pursuant to the State Environment Quality Review Act, which it has been determined will not have significant adverse impact on the environment. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens, Albany County, New York, as follows. And can we just have as presented
No,
this
It
contract?
needs to be read.
The whole thing
It needs to be read.
From a legal perspective, it does not,
Thank you.
you're not obligated to read it. I think it's been your practice typically to read the resolutions. If the resolutions to the board as presented, you can act on it or read it. I defer to the board.
You want to take over then if you want to read it?
I'll take over.
I'm out of water.
We're on section 2, correct?
No, we're on
Section one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Section 1, for the specific object or purpose of paying the cost of the increase and improvement of the Queens Hamlet Sewer District in the town of Queens, Albany County, New York, being reconstruction, improvement, and rehabilitation of pump stations, replacement of approximately 1,500 linear feet of 15-inch sewer lines, and the replacement of existing manholes, including original furnishings, equipment, machinery, apparatus, appurtenances? Yeah, okay. And incidental improvements and expenses in connection therewith, there are hereby authorized to be issued $3,360,000 bonds of said town pursuant of the provisions of the local finance law. Section 2 is hereby determined that the maximum estimated cost of the aforesaid specific object or purpose is $3.66 million, which specific object or purpose is hereby authorized at said maximum estimated cost, and that the plan for the financing thereof is by the issuance of not to exceed the $3.366 million bonds of said town authorized to be issued pursuant to this bond resolution, provided, however, that to the extent that any grants and aid are received for such specific object or purpose, or the town board shall appropriate other monies of the town therefore, the amounts of bonds to be issued pursuant to this resolution shall be reduced dollar for dollar. Section 3 is hereby determined that the period of probable usefulness of the aforesaid specific object or purpose is 40 years pursuant to subdivision 4 of paragraph A of section 11 of the local finance law. It is hereby further determined that the maximum maturity of the serial bonds herein authorized will exceed 5 years. Section 4, the faith and credit of said town of Queens, Albany County, New York, are hereby irrevocably pledged for the payment of the principal of and interest on such bonds as the same respectively become due and payable. An annual appropriation shall be made in each year sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on such bonds becoming due and payable in such year. To the extent not paid for, monies raised from said Queens Hamlet Sewer District, as applicable in the manner provided by law, there shall annually be levied on all the taxable real property of said town a tax sufficient to pay the principal of an interest on such bonds as the same become due and payable. Section 5, subject to the provisions of local finance law, the power to authorize the issuance of and to sell bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance and sale of the serial bonds herein authorized, including renewals of such notes, is hereby delegated to the supervisor, the chief fiscal officer. Such notes shall be in such form and contents, and shall be sold in such manner as may be prescribed by such supervisor, consistent with the provisions of the local finance law. Section 6, the powers and duties of advertising such bonds for sale, concluding the sale and awarding the bonds, and hereby delegated to the supervisor, who shall advertise such bonds for sale, conduct the sale, and award the bonds in such manner as he shall deem best for the interests of said town, including, but not limited to, the power to sell said bonds to the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation, provided, however, that in the exercise of these delegated powers, the supervisor shall comply fully with the provisions of the local finance law and any order or rule of the state comptroller applicable to the sale of municipal bonds. The receipt of the supervisor shall be a full acquittance to the purchaser of such bonds, who shall not be obliged to see to the application of the purchase money. Section 7, all other matters except as provided herein related to the serial bonds, herein authorizing, including the date, denominations, maturities, and interest payment dates, with limitations prescribed herein, and the manner of execution of the same, including the consolidation with other issues, and also the ability to issue serial bonds with substantially level or declining annual debt service, shall be determined by the supervisor, the chief fiscal officer of such town. Such bonds shall contain substantially the recital of validity clause provided for in section 52 of the local finance law, and shall otherwise be in such form and contain such recitals in addition to those required by section 51 of the local finance law, as a supervisor shall determine, consistent with the provisions of the local finance law. No, I'm going to keep going. Yeah. Section 8. The supervisor is hereby further authorized at the supervisor's sole discretion to execute a project finance and or loan agreement and any other agreements with the New York State Department of Department of Environmental Conservation and or the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation, including amendments thereto, and including any instruments or amendments thereto in the effectuation thereof, in order to effect the financing or refinancing of the specific object or purpose described in section 1 hereof, or a portion thereof by a bond, and or no issue of said town in the event of the sale of the same to the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation. Section 9. The power to issue and sell notes to the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation pursuant of section 169 of the local finance law is hereby delegated to the supervisor. Such notes shall be of such terms, form, and contents, and may be prescribed by said supervisor consistent with the provisions of the local finance law. Section 10. The validity of such bonds and bond anticipation notes may be contested only if such obligations are authorized for any object or purpose for which said town is not authorized to expend money, or number 2, the provisions of law which shall be complied with at the date of publication of this resolution are not substantially complied with, and an action, suit, or proceeding contesting such validity is commenced within 20 days after the date of such publication. Or, number 3, such obligations are authorized in violation of the provisions of the Constitution. Section 11. This resolution shall constitute a statement of official intent for purposes of Treasury Regulations Section 1.150-2, other than as specified in this resolution. No monies are reasonably expected to be reserved, allocated on a long-term basis, or otherwise set aside with respect to the permanent funding of the subject or purpose described herein. Section 12. This resolution, which takes effect immediately, shall be published in summary form in the official newspaper, together with a notice of the town clerk in substantially the form provided in Section 81 of the local finance law, provided, however, that no obligation shall be issued pursuant to this bond resolution prior to its ratification and confirmation by readoption after this town board has been advised of the award of any grants relating to said specific object or purpose.
Second discussion?
So Councilmember Stott
Yeah.
offered that resolution now? Because you offered it originally and then he took over reading it, so I'm confused. Did you offer the resolution and then second it, or did he now offer the resolution?
Can I just say I, Councilmember Stott, offer the final resolution?
I actually offered the resolution and you read the contract.
Okay, I second it.
As read by both Mr. Donnelly and Mr.
By
Stott.
myself and Mr. Donnelly. Yes. For discussion.
I think we've pretty much discussed it. But
No. For discussion. Again, and it might be repetitive, but I'm going to say it because now we're at this resolution. I just want to make sure, Mr. Riley, I am correct, that if we do not accept this with a vote of 4 people for the WIA grant, that it's going to hurt our chances of getting the $2 million that we've spent time and money trying to obtain?
That is my understanding from both LaBerge with respect to the grant application and bond counsel as to the effectiveness of this resolution.
So we go,
You can further that by future, when you reach out for whatever the makeup of the town board is, when you reach out for future grants, the grant agencies are gonna probably see that you're not serious because you haven't tried to do it in the first place. And the state of New York, absolutely, if there's a problem, whether you think the plan is fine, whether there was language,
I don't know
whether there was language by Keith that says it's fine or it's not fine, the state of New York will put the burden on the taxpayers and the town, and you will be paying $3.3 million and bonding it out.
And even if it's not critical right now, we don't know when or if anything could happen. So it's like you're gambling, and you're gambling with the taxpayers' money is what you're gonna be doing.
Yeah,
We have
and
a
their sewer
chance-
system.
We have a chance
Right.
to be able to bring in money and offset that with the grants that we're talking about right now. We're not looking to burden people with extra taxes. If something happens, we have to fix it. We don't have a choice.
Oh, I know, but I
Well,
don't.
then what are we gonna do? What are we using?
We don't have to fix $3.366 million.
We don't know that,
in
Steve.
2022,
We honestly
Mr.
don't
Schmidt, you
know.
thought you did. In 2022,
No, the
you-
difference, again, do I have to,
No,
I'll repeat it again.
I know exactly what
Your
you're gonna
logic
say.
is
You didn't have to
flawed
bond.
to
You
the
didn't think you had to bond in
It's
2022.
It absolutely is.
But Mr. Schmidt, your legal
I am
counsel,
not going to burden the taxpayers at this point in time with a $3.366 million bond, if that's what it came to, because there's nothing in here other than this provided however clause. It doesn't say, it just says that to the extent that any grants in aid are received for such specific object or purpose, or the town board shall appropriate other monies of the town, therefore, the amount of bonds to be issued pursuant to this resolution shall be reduced dollar for dollar. That doesn't say anything. This resolution says that we are telling the grant, the WIA grant, that we are, as a town, prepared to bond $3.366 million right now. This is what this resolution says.
because they're gonna give you, because you have to
And
say
that-
you're
and
gonna do
that's
that in order for them to
fine.
give you
That's fine.
half,
Listen,
Steve.
I respect
I
your
know.
opinion.
That's what the agencies ask for. This is what is necessary.
I'm not doing that. At this point in time, I am not doing that.
Oh, and
So-
you're voting against the infrastructure of our town and our
No,
taxpayers.
we have a
Well, there you go.
$500,000 grant coming in, and we can, this year, we can do
Yeah.
$500,000
Your
worth
logic is
of work.
flawed. You're not listening to anybody. You're dug in a hole. Let's just vote. Roll call. I vote yes.
Yes.
No.
Motion does not carry.
We can go over that it was a vote of 3-1, and then defer to bond counsel as to what that means. It's my understanding that it doesn't carry, but I don't think that's for us to decide. I would pass it along to bond counsel.
Thank you.
Okay, it's passed along to bond counsel. Okay, upcoming meetings. PDZBA has one on the 8th and the 24th at 7 p.m. and we have two coming up on the 11th and the 25th at 6. Public comment time. Seeing none, I make a motion to,
Root executive session to talk about a contractual issue?
sure.
It'll just take 5 minutes at most.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I would like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss contractual matters where no decisions will be made. Thanks, Regina.
Okay, nice.
And we will not be returning.
And we will not be returning.
I second that.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.